Ladies and gentlemen, sports fans alike, coming to you from the Rockford IceHawks studio here in Chicago, Illinois, this is Bill Swerski's Sports Talk Chicago, one of the couple 2 or 3 best podcasts around. So grab yourself an ice cold one and a bowl of sausage, sit down, park your keister, and listen to This is Bill Swerski's Sports Talk Chicago.
I'm starting 9 dictas.
I'm starting 9 dictas.
All right. Sounds like we need to make a side bet.
Starts with a C, ends with an O, and in the middle is a K.
His hair follicles cure malaria.
All right, gentlemen, the answer was the Bears.
Coach Ditka's hair could single-handedly cure our dependence on foreign oil.
Bears 31 to negative 7. The Bears. He's a merciful Ditka. The Bears. The Bears. The Bulls. Go, Cubs, go! Go, Cubs, go! The Bulls. The Bulls. All right.
Hey, please, this is a family show, my friend. No cursing.
Yeah, that kind of language it belongs in the gutter, the speakeasy, and Coach Ditka's press conference.
You know,
All right, so welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Gary and Sean. Welcome, Gary.
Hey,
Sean. So I know the White Sox are a little bit of a sore subject after today.
Wait, this is the first.
Well, we are here together in person. We normally do this via Skype. I think this is the second time we've done it together. One time we did it at your house.
Mass, that's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
So, yeah.
I
So
can look into your eyes.
my beautiful brown
Yeah.
eyes. I do have beautiful bedroom eyes. So, Gary's a little sore spot with the White Sox today. So
I'm not sore.
So let's start with the Bulls, and thank God the guy on Team USA that got injured wasn't Derrick Rose.
That was so mean.
You saying you'd rather have it be Derrick Rose?
No, I don't want any of them to get injured.
Well, I don't want
like
anybody
that,
to get injured,
did you
but
see it?
I did. So if you haven't checked out the Paul George injury, don't. It's pretty gruesome. It's quite possibly. I mean, if you follow sports really closely, there was a guy that played on the Bears last year that Michael Bush, and he had the same injury in college in Louisville. So they call it the Michael Bush injury. Basically, your foot touches your knee sideways.
Yeah, it was pretty. Of course, all these like top 10 most gruesome sports injuries are popping up, and it was ranked 3rd.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean,
Steve Nash is ranked 10th when he broke his nose.
Really?
Yeah, and he put it back together like right then and there on the court. Like he popped it back.
Yeah, I mean, it ranks up there with what's his face from the Redskins, the quarterback.
John, not Johnny Unitas, is it?
No.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
we have this thing called an internet.
I know we have. I feel like I'm 100 years old sometimes because my brain stops working, and it's like I can't remember anybody's name. But I believe it was Lawrence Taylor that hit him and caused
Joe Theismann.
Joe Theismann.
Yeah.
That's Joe Theismann. So Paul George's injury ranks right up there in my eyes with Joe Theismann's injury because they're both just really brutal.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is Paul George is a superstar.
Joe Theismann was a superstar.
Good. He was. So that's my basketball group.
So, I mean, just in this time era, I mean, he wasn't top 3 quarterback, but he was a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
But Paul George they said today he's out the entire next season already.
This season, coming season.
Yeah, this coming season, yeah. So he's
not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised either, but he's just donezo. And
helps the Bulls.
So what, the 2 things that come out of this is, one, I don't really, I didn't want it to seem like, oh yeah, I'm glad somebody got injured. I'm not. I'm just saying that after so many injuries with Derrick Rose, I'm glad that if somebody had to get injured, it wasn't Derrick Rose this time. So, and number two, the second thing is that this really, with LeBron leaving Miami and now Paul George getting injured,
Lance Stevenson
being gone, is this makes the Bulls conference just wide open.
Even with Kevin Love going to Cleveland.
Is it official?
No, everyone's saying that August 23rd, 24th, when Wiggins. I'm sorry, when Wiggins.
He's officially 30 days.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I still don't think. I think they'll be good. I don't think that puts them over the top. I think the Bulls are so deep that if Derrick Rose doesn't get injured, I think it'll be hard for Cleveland with LeBron James to beat them.
Yeah. So I mean, the whole conference is really
good.
It's good, but it's wide open.
Now we can sit Derrick for 20 games.
So when Derrick Rose gets injured this season, we still can compete.
Also, you avoid it pressuring him. He only plays 20 minutes a game. Sit him for 20 games, and in playoffs, he's there.
Oh yeah, because Tom Thibodeau is totally good at resting people and playing them limited minutes.
Well, he better be this year, because there's no reason to play Joakim Noah 40 minutes when you got...
Well, he's got good shoes now, so he can play 40 minutes.
Yeah, but...
he's not wearing those weird French shoes.
When you have Paul Gasol and Nikola Mirotic, you have plenty of other people that can chew up minutes that you would want to put in the fourth quarter, unlike Carlos Boozer.
I mean, you still think that Jimmy Buckets isn't going to play the entire game?
No, I don't. I think there's a lot of push that Tony Snell is taking us up, and I think Tony Snell would be taking some minutes away from Jimmy.
We'll see.
Same from Dougie McBuckets. I think Dougie McBuckets will be taking some minutes away. I can see a lineup, by the way, at times of Rose, McBuckets. By the way, I continue calling him McBuckets because I just think it's awesome.
I'm still bummed that they didn't win the summer league.
Oh, I don't care about that. But Rose, McBuckets, Mirotic, Gasol, and Noah. Or sub in Taj Gibson wherever you want. Like that, the height they have is ridiculous.
They're gonna put in a big package.
Even if Dunleavy at the 2 guard, he's only 6'9".
Yeah, I mean, so the Bulls have a deep team. I mean, is it full of frontline talent? Not particularly, but it's a really solid deep team. I mean, they don't have any particular big holes.
They have good shooting. They have size. They have speed. They're young. Besides Gasol.
Well, I mean, so they
getting Aaron Brooks. That was huge.
Yeah, so you've got
and Heinrich.
You've got depth at every position. You've got a team that you can put in to be a defensive package almost, and you've got scorers that you can put in if you're having trouble putting buckets in. So it's a good lineup. You can go small, you can go big. There's a lot of flexibility in this roster. So it's actually really impressive the way they've gone about it. I was really not a happy camper because I went from being the don't ever get what's his face? My God, I'm already drawing a blank.
Carmelo.
Don't ever get Carmelo to the oh my God, we have to get Carmelo or this team's going to be terrible.
I mean, I actually remember, if you remember, after watching the playoffs, I was like, we had a session where I was like, we need to get Melo.
Well, the Wizards just exposed the Bulls.
But I think with Rose being healthy, it definitely helps take me off the edge of the cliff from that perspective, and then just seeing, drafting a McDermott and seeing Tony Snell improve in the summer league and getting Paul Gasol, which was huge, and Mirotic is coming over. Like, all that happened after the depression of watching them play the Wizards. So there's a lot to be positive with. And
my dog is chewing on her ball really loudly. So, I mean, but it's, the Wizards exposed the Bulls for everything that they were missing, and I think the Garpax did a good job of addressing the needs. and really filling the holes and flying under the radar doing it.
And the biggest benefit of what they've done is they have not they have not basically put them in their team in a salary cap position for the next, where they wouldn't have any money to spend for the next X years. They have so many contracts expiring in the next 2 or 3 years. It's great.
Yeah, I mean it's really smart. I mean, it's on one hand it's hard having to keep turning roster over, but on the other hand,
You have to.
It's you know, in sports things are, you can't sign a guy to a 10-year contract. You need the cap flexibility, because what if that player gets hurt? What if they just start sucking? What if a lot of things is you need to be able to turn over your roster reasonably quickly. And
Well, the big thing is in 2016, there's supposed to be more money available due to a new TV deal. So the salary cap may be going up. That's what everyone's assuming. That's why LeBron only signed a 2-year contract.
well, that, and he could get a max deal from Cleveland after that too.
Yeah, but I mean, it really puts the Bulls in that similar position where like they're gonna have more money to spend then as well. And you know, if you would have taken Carmelo, you know, him and Rose for next 3 years, just eat up more 50% of your salary cap, and you know, it's definitely, even if they went out and got Kevin Love, they'd be in the same boat. I don't know how Cleveland's going to fill a roster with Irving with a max contract, James with a pretty significant contract, and then Kevin Love with a max contract.
That's
Good luck.
That's the struggles of the NBA. You can give out the, I mean, I guess any salary cap sport, and I feel like every sport went into the huge spend phase, and now I think cap management is really becoming very crucial. I mean, it was.
And by the way, you could sign long-term contracts in NBA back in the day. I mean, Scottie Pippen signed a horrendous long-term contract. He signed, what was it, like an 8-year deal or 7-year deal in 1991 or something.
You know, Scotty.
Did he not know he was a superstar by then or something?
But I mean, I feel like the NFL has done a really good job with, you know, cap management for the most part as a league overall, and I felt like baseball and basketball were the worst because baseball had no salary cap, and the NBA is because it's such a star-driven league that you have to have stars and you sort of have to pay those stars. But now that teams are getting multiple stars, you're limited to what you can do because you can't allocate 100% of your entire salary cap to 4 guys because you need to fill out a roster.
Yeah,
and that's just the reality.
Yeah, but that happens. That's the thing with football too, right? That's what makes football so competitive, in my opinion, is that like you have to cut guys that are getting paid a lot because you have to fill out your football roster, and those. I mean, I think it's good. I think parity is a good thing in sports.
Oh, I do too. I mean, that's nice. Is kind of what the Bears do is they sign the players they need to sign, and they fill roster spots with younger guys and guys that are veterans that are on 1-2 year deals.
Yep.
So they can easily cut them, not be stuck in cap situations.
We'll see about your Blackhawks in a couple of years.
The Blackhawks are going to be in trouble. That's part of the thing is they.
I mean, you had to pay them.
You have to. I mean, you have to, and they took less than they could have made. I mean, if they would have gone to the free agent market after next season, they would have gotten more money than they would.
Yeah.
So it was a situation you had to pay them, but the issue is that, you know, you're gonna have to trade some of the higher pay end guys. You're gonna have to start bringing up the younger talent. That's what you have to do. Is you keep your stars as long as they're performing for the pay. Trade people that you need, you know, to get under the cap, and then start bringing up these guys like Brandon Saad and Ben Smith and, you know, other guys that you have in Rockford. So it's something that you have to do, and it's this, you know, that's what's hard about the NBA is for the most part, you don't have a minor league system. You should.
I was talking with a friend of mine yesterday. Big college sports fan, big Wisconsin fan, and it's hard. Us going to where we went to in college, it's really hard to be a college sport fan.
Well, it would have been in the 80s.
Yeah, in the early 80s.
We went to DePaul. They still exist.
They do have a basketball team.
And they're getting a super fancy new stadium.
So maybe they'll get the third-tier recruits from the city in a couple of years.
If they could pry away 50% of the Chicago talent, they would have a good roster.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the basketball players like coming out of Chicago. It's like, why are they going to these top-notch basketball programs and not go to an Illinois school? And it's so. Because
they want to go somewhere where they're going to get in the tournament. They're going to
go to NBA next year. I get it, and that's what we discussed essentially. It's like, it hurts college basketball because of the way the system is. That these players have to go to a college team for a year, and then go to the NBA. If they're that good at 18, they should just go to the NBA. And if they choose to go to college, they should invest multiple years in college. At least 2, so that you can build something around them before they go to NBA, and I just think it would also bring it would help with, like, you know how Kentucky and North Carolina and Duke and Memphis are always the top teams, every year, and then the draft comes and like 4 other 5 starters are drafted, and you're like, well, how are they the top team? And they just recruit other guys. And
actually, having the one and done system in the NBA, like one or like college sports or basketball, it's helping them because if they thought, like, if you went on a recruiting trip to, let's say you have the best center in college basketball, and you're Mike Krzyzewski, and you go to a kid's house who's the top center in high school in the country, and you go up to him and say, "Listen, kid, we want you on our team." If this was you had to play at least 2 or 3 or 4 years of college basketball, it would be hard for you to sell that kid because he's got to sit behind the best college player.
So just think, if you had to do a minimum of 2 years in college, how much better the NCAA tournament would be.
Yeah, or if you said you don't have to go to college at all. I mean, I am all for these kids
going straight to NBA. Yeah.
I mean, from a talent perspective, because it's the only sport where you can go right from high school to the pros and succeed.
It's a stupid rule that David Stern instituted, and
I mean, the only aspect of it that I agree with is because
they're too young. They're
too young and they're too immature. But the thing is 1 year of college going to help that at all? No.
No, I mean, they pay people a lot of money to train these kids. Not to be promiscuous and not to spend their money foolishly and all that stuff.
But they do anyway. It is what it is.
And not everyone's like Antoine Walker.
That guy blew $100 million.
We should go see his new documentary.
I do. I want to go see it. When you get back from vacation, we should go see it.
Yeah. Some people do, but that's what they prepare these kids to not. I mean, if someone is lavish and wants to spend, they're going to do it regardless. So
yeah, you're not going to stop them.
I'm sorry if you make $10 million in your basketball career and you can't live off that for the rest of your life. Granted, you only keep $5 million of it because of taxes, unless
and your agent and
if you can't live off $5 million, man, especially where most of these guys came from, there's a bigger problem, right?
Well, did you see that 30 for 30 special about professional athletes that went broke and became bankrupt? Did you see that one?
I saw parts of it. I haven't seen all of it.
I mean, it wasn't particularly good as a film, but the stories were so interesting because what happened was these guys, they come into sports and suddenly they, for the first time in their life, they've had money for most people.
And they have friends that come out of the woodworks.
Yeah, but then also
they're asking for money,
if you're trying to be frugal, but you've got a whole team full of guys that are like, no, let's go fly here on this private jet and go gambling and spend $100,000. You know, you're trying to be a part of a team, and if other people on your team are doing this, you know, dressing with gold chains and have big diamonds, that's how you're gonna do it too, just because you want to be a part of it. And you know, it's a culture that.
Yeah, but I think most of the spending doesn't come from that. Most of the spending comes from, you know, deals like the ever famous Scottie Pippen airline deal, or like helping out buddies and friends with loans and stuff like that.
You mean how Hammer went broke?
Yeah.
He had a 100-person entourage.
Yeah. I think that's how. And you know, the reality is those people who, until these athletes learn that the people that are kind of living off them are very selfish and don't have the player's best interest in their, you know, in their minds, you know, they're gonna lose all their money. So I don't think it is what it is. So.
Yeah, there's guys like Derrick Rose and LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony that are going to make so much money that it doesn't matter how much they spend because they can't spend it all. But then there's
Reggie may spend it.
Yeah, Reggie Rose may spend it all, but they make so much money. But you think about a guy who may have just a 3-4 year career. I mean, I don't know the average NBA lifespan as far as your career.
It's not long.
But in the NFL, I think it's like 2.4 years. So you just think about it. If you're the average player, you're going to play like 2.5 seasons.
You're not going to be able to live off.
You're not going to be able to live off that forever.
Unless you were a top 10 pick.
Even that, you know, with the new slotting system, is you don't make nearly as much. And
Timberwolves owner acknowledges Kevin Love will likely be traded this month, and the Bulls are out of it. So
yeah, so it's Golden State or
Cleveland.
But I guess back on topic is.
Sorry.
Oh no, not sorry. I kind of like where these go. The tangents. That's the best. That's the best part about not hosting this yourself is I can't go on a tangent because I just talk on what I have a list of things I want to talk about. I love tangents. So here's a quote from Kyle Korver is talking about Derrick Rose.
Oh come on.
What, you don't like your boy Carl?
No,
Kyle
I love hot sauce, but at the same time, I don't want to hear other players tell me how awesome Derrick Rose is, and then he gets injured.
He looks explosive and strong. It sounds like he's hitting on him. He's in good shape, and I have not a single concern about his knee. I know you guys are all here because you want to see his knee, how his knee's working, but his knee is fine. He sat out for 2 years, basically. It's going to take time to get the game rhythm. But
which, by the way, to the one thing to take from the second injury that Derrick Rose suffered is it generally takes 2 years for someone to fully recover from an ACL injury, unless you're Adrian Peterson, of course.
Who comes back like 6 months later and wins the NFL MVP.
But let's talk about normal athletes. Not freaks.
Let's just talk about Adrian Peterson for 1 second. Is the guy who did the surgery on him said it was the first. He said that, like, he's done so many of those surgeries that Adrian Peterson was the only person who had zero muscle atrophy from when he opened him up. None whatsoever, because the guy is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And I don't like Adrian Peterson because I hate Oklahoma. And when they had that like Army Navy All-Star game or whatever it is the All-Star game for high school football players, and they show the hat of whoever they're going. He said if it wasn't for rules, he would have jumped right to the NFL. And I was like, kid, you're 18 years old. You can't play in the NFL.
Yeah, good.
And he's the one out of anybody, the only one ever that could have done it. But he drives me nuts anyway. But he's a really good player, and he's a freak of nature.
Too bad he'll never win a Super Bowl.
He will never win a Super Bowl because he makes too much money for anybody any competitive team to want to trade for him.
Yeah, and he's gonna hurt Minnesota because eventually he's getting in his 30s. Eventually he's gonna start slowing down.
You suppose, like, if he follows any sort of trend at all.
But anyways, back onto this.
Back to a real person, Derrick Rose.
The normal. I mean, who else? Chris Paul, didn't he have an or he had an ACL.
Yeah.
I mean, it took him he came back the next year, or within a year, but it took him about 2 years till he finally started being superstar Chris Paul again. So, in actuality, even if Derrick Rose came back last year, and you saw that in the 10 games he played.
Was it 10? I thought it was just 6.
It was 10.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't the Derrick Rose of old.
No, he looked so rusty.
And, you know, if the timeline's correct, it usually takes 2 years to fully recover, both physically and mentally, from an ACL injury. So we're at year 2, and we'll see how he does. You know,
I mean, part of me is so happy that he decided to finally take up what Garpax was suggesting him try out for Team USA.
Oh no, just play in the off season. Like he's been practicing. He never practiced, and even last year he didn't practice in the off season. He just worked out, and since the season ended, he's been in the Bertle Center every day. So I mean,
even if he doesn't make Team USA or whatever, I mean, he's gonna make it. Well, especially now after.
Even before, like, who's this competition? John Wall.
Yeah.
And Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Who you're telling me you'd rather have them than him?
Well, they're only taking two.
Yeah, him and Paul.
So
no, Curry. They're taking 3, I think.
Oh, are they taking 3? Because they only have like it's a 12-man roster, isn't it?
I don't know, but I mean.
Anyway, it's even if he wasn't gonna make it. It was nice to see him competing against top 10. He's gonna make it.
It would be idiotic. Like,
I'm just saying,
Irving and Wall are pretty darn good basketball players, but they don't have the power and explosiveness as Derrick Rose does.
Healthy Derrick Rose.
Healthy, yes. So if he's healthy, which everyone says he is, he's the better of the 3.
Yeah, but it's so nice to be able to see him play, because what you hope is that he's going to shake off all of that rust of 2 years off, and when he starts the regular season,
he'll be ready to go.
You know, his engine be primed and ready to go.
You remember I said that I wanted a few months ago. I was like, I want when people were saying maybe he shouldn't play, you know, risk injury and all that stuff. I was like, no, get him to play.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, if he's going to get injured, I'd rather him get injured in Team USA, because you can prepare then.
And the Bulls did a really, really smart thing in signing Aaron Brooks. That was such a good deal. To a veteran minimum contract.
Oh, absolutely.
Aaron Brooks could start on some team.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the plan B, if Rose goes down, I would not be surprised if Aaron Brooks is the next Nate and
John Lucas III.
John Lucas III. And
there's a whole list of them.
I mean, it was a great signing.
Yeah, and it's the thing is I would much rather, I don't want him to get injured, but if Derrick Rose gets injured, I would much rather have him get injured in either Team USA practice or during the games, because you
saw what happened last year, right? As soon as he got injured last year, they were close to 10 games below 500.
Yeah, because it's a huge transition, because you're expecting to have this certain team, and sure, there's injuries, but nobody expects this catastrophic injuries, and you know, there's some positions where you can recover, but when you lose like the reigning MVP,
I mean, you can't recover.
Yeah, and especially mid-season when you're having to scramble to sign somebody who's off the street basically to play.
Which they did a great job. But
they did a great job, but
it doesn't matter. Like, if they lose Derrick Rose, and let's forget about the championship. I mean, they might actually make it to the NBA Finals still, because the East sucks, but they're not going to be a West team.
Yeah, so I can't see any reason for him to not do Team USA basketball. There's no reason for him not.
Reggie.
Yeah, but any logical reason. Reggie Rose is the worst. Like, that guy gives out bad advice. like
you know what was funny? The whole Reggie Rose and Derrick Rose's camp and Joe Colley. It's like that. There's just a story of disaster waiting to happen, because Joe Colley's horrible. And Reggie Rose just doesn't go away. And you knew there was going to be a story, something with those people involved.
I mean...
By the way, I love how Reinsdorf blasted Cowley. That was awesome.
So, I mean, Derrick Rose is also saying that he wants to make everyone eat their words. And I think he's really misguided in what he thinks everyone's saying about him. It's everyone's going, hey, he's hurt. We're very cautious. That's
No, I think he's thinking that people think that he's damaged and he can't come back.
no, but I think anybody I've talked to has basically been like, you got to prove you're healthy. So it's not like making
Isn't that the same thing?
I don't know but are you saying you? It's not like you're going, oh, he's a bust. And you know,
I mean, so far he's a bust. So he doesn't have something to prove.
So he does have something to prove. But the thing is, that's not making you eat your words. They're just saying you haven't played in 2 years.
Go look at any form of basketball form and go.
Oh, I try not to read any forums.
And go listen to any talk radio. It's a huge question mark. So.
But that's not. But the thing is it's not making somebody eat their words. Like eating your words would be like, you know what, Derrick Rose is terrible.
Well, let's put it this way. With just LeBron James, Vegas odds has Cleveland making it to the NBA championship. That's before they got Kevin Love. That's how much people think Derrick Rose is going to be healthy.
Well, that's the thing is. But if everyone were to say Derrick Rose is terrible and he's not going to ever do anything ever again, that's what making you eat your words is. But if you said, you know what, he's been injured the last 2 years, he's just got to prove he's being healthy. Then that's not making him eat the words. It's got him going, all right, well, I just need to play. Maybe semantics.
It's totally semantics.
But whatever. So Kevin Love deal dead, right?
For Bulls, yes, and I'm actually happy about it.
I am too. I love Kevin Love, but
it's one of those things though. Like a lot of Bulls fans were upset at the trade offer, and it's like, well, you know what, you gotta give that up. And what I don't know if we talked about this before. I think we may have, but I'll say it again. If you would have told me during the NBA Finals that the Bulls would trade both their first-round draft picks, Nikola Mirotic and Taj Gibson for Kevin Love, would you do that trade? And I say yes.
The thing
now, because we have Dougie McDermott and you need Dougie McBuckets, and he had a great summer camp. And
you mean Tom Kleinschmidt?
Well, no, Tom Kleinschmidt never graduated college. Come on. he was one.
Tommy Kleinschmidt.
I have kids.
This is Kleinschmidt country right here.
By the way, I have kids who I play baseball with who went to Gordon Tech. Oh, I'm sorry. To Paul College Prep. It's not Gordon Tech anymore. And he's a teacher there.
He is?
Yeah, he's like a
What does he teach? Being awesome?
He's obviously involved with their basketball team, to what extent, but probably PE or who knows.
Well, anyway, so it would be one of those trades that would be good for both sides on some level. It's not like a lopsided trade per se, but the thing I didn't like about it was the things I love about all the moves the Bulls made was it provided a lot of flexibility in how they could do their schemes and their who they have on the floor, and if they got big, small packages, if they wanted to be more defensive, or if they had a lot of scoring options.
There's even talks of moving Rose to the 2 at times.
Yeah, so it takes away a lot of that flexibility, and it makes it a little bit easier to defend because you're taking away.
Yeah, but you're getting Kevin Love.
Trade off. He's very difficult to guard, but the thing is he
shoots like 40% from the 3. Come on, he's good.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying you're giving up a lot of a different scoring.
Bulls fans who thought that who didn't want the trade to happen, most of them are a little too high on Taj Gibson.
Oh, I'm not too high on Taj Gibson. I think he is.
He's great.
He's great for what he is. He's a really good 6 man. He comes into the game warmed up already. He comes off the bench, he's warmed up, and he provides good minutes. He's a good defender. He's getting better on offense, and he's a good teammate.
And you see Dougie McBuckets play well against a bunch of potentials or has-beens, and you think that he's the next second coming of Kyle Korver or someone like that, and all of a sudden his value is skyrocketing, and you don't want to trade him. It's like, he's not played a game in the NBA, neither is Mirotic. As much as I'm huge on Mirotic, But the reality is, if you get a chance to get Kevin Love, you do it. So to me, it was a win-win situation. They make the trade, it's awesome. They don't make the trade, I'm still pretty happy as a Bulls fan. And I think that was my perspective. But if you can make the trade, you do it. Like
I just looked at it as, I guess with Derrick Rose being injured the last 2 years, is that you put a lot of eggs into one basket with Kevin Love, whereas if you have these other guys, you're spreading your eggs out over a few baskets.
Kevin Love.
I'm not saying he's bad, but what if he got a Paul George injury?
That would suck.
Yeah, suddenly you were like, oh man, we could have had all those players.
Well, you know what? We've been through that. What if he had a Derrick Rose injury?
What if he had a Derrick Rose
Same
injury?
thing.
What if he had a Jay Williams injury?
Well, that didn't matter that much. He wasn't. Jay Williams wasn't at superstar level at the time.
I know, but they
had high hopes for him.
They had really high hopes for him, and then he smashed himself up on a motorcycle.
You know, that's his own problem.
And the Bulls paid him. They didn't have to. The Bulls, for all the people that say the Bulls are cheap and nobody likes to deal with them.
Oh yeah, how about that amnesty, huh?
The thing is, Carlos Boozer is getting paid twice now.
No, he's paying a total of 16.
Still, okay, he's getting paid a lot of money still, but Jay Williams, they didn't have to pay him because it was in his contract that his contract was void if he was riding a motorcycle, and he rode a motorcycle and crashed it. They didn't have to pay him anything, and they did. They honored. I don't think they paid him the full contract, but they gave him a big settlement that they didn't need to give him anything. I think that was sort of classy.
Yeah, I don't think they were cheap at all. Scottie Pippen made differ, but yet he works for them now.
But the thing is trading him to Houston was.
Oh yeah, it was a sign and trade done to give him money.
That was a favor for him. They did him a favor. So, I don't think they're cheap. I think I think the reality of why a lot of free agents don't come here is high taxes.
Yep, Texas and Florida.
Yeah, I mean that's why Canada doesn't get a lot of Toronto doesn't get a lot of free agents because you're paying way more in taxes. It's the tax issue more than quote unquote the reputation of the Bulls.
I get angry at that because when you're making that much money, who really cares? Like it's so many people go to Texas and play, whether it's Dallas or Houston, and you're just like, really? You could have gone, and you could even gone to the Lakers and made, a little less money, but you chose this because you want to save the extra $500,000 a year.
I mean, I'm fine if you say I'm going to play in Texas over playing in Chicago because I can't stand winter. I get you. I feel you because I am starting to hate winter. But if you're saying, oh yeah, because I get the tax is much higher for people that make a reasonable amount of money, but when you make filthy, stinking rich type money,
not to mention endorsement deals.
Yeah, the endorsement deals.
Yeah,
LeBron, I see him on TV all the time with stupid McDonald's and whatever else he's hawking, and Derrick Rose is always on billboards with Giordano's and whatever those dumb headphones are.
Oh yeah.
The Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Whatever they are.
What a waste. I mean, those are like $200.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They're like the Dr. Dre knockoffs. He's always
Skull Candy.
Skull Candy, that's what it is. Yeah, I was seeing him on the stupid billboards for that, and always eating stupid Giordano's. It's not even as good as Blue Malnati's.
Yeah.
There, I said it.
I think Blue Malnati's is better too.
And
Jon Stewart would disagree.
Yeah, but Jon Stewart is weird New York bias. There, I said that too. But he does have a three-legged dog like me, which is, I can appreciate that.
And he's Jewish like me.
So, we both have something.
Anyways. Any other basketball news?
Do you think that the Bulls are done? And this is barring injury, that this is the set roster they're going?
Oh, of course.
You don't think there's any sort of
No,
trade?
I mean, I thought they were going to trade Dunleavy, but now they don't need to, so you might as well keep him.
I'm fine with that. I mean,
they're set. They're stocked. Man, they're ready to go. I'm excited. Let's get the season started. I'm renewing my tickets. I'm going to try to upgrade my seats next week. I'm down.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing that made me question whether or not there's going to be a move is that there was a quote from Gar Forman that said, "We really like the group we have, and we look forward to getting going in October with that group." Anytime general manager seems to say, "We really like our group,"
to his defense, he was saying that. I remember the interview for that. He was saying that amid all the Kevin Love talk. So he has to say that.
Yeah, but it's funny. It's the most adamant they are in saying that they're happy with the roster is that right around the time they make a trade.
What are they going to trade? They don't need to trade. Like, I don't
know.
What are they going to do? Like, who are they going to get?
Paul George on the cheap.
Who are they?
Widow.
Man, I feel so bad for the Pacers because they literally gave away what's his name? The guy.
Lance Stevenson?
No, the guy that Paul George basically took over for.
Oh.
Dan.
Oh my God! Why am I drunk? I'm such getting Alzheimer's at age 30.
He's out in Miami now.
Danny Granger?
Danny Granger, yes. So they basically give away Danny Granger after his horrific injuries or whatever injuries, and they don't want to deal with Lance Stevenson because of his attitude, but they know they have Paul George, so they don't really need the other two, right? And then that happens, and now who are they going to count on? Roy Hibbert?
Yeah, watch Roy Hibbert comes out and has like a monster season.
He should, and David West.
I still think they're going to be.
They were saying that they were going to be a 500 team before this happened.
I'm just saying is that they play a tough enough defense.
They should pull Spurs when David Robinson got injured for the year.
Oh, and just tank and get Tim Duncan?
And get Tim Duncan. Who's coming out next year?
Who knows?
Okafor from Whitney Young.
Yeah.
Get him.
So, yeah,
right?
I don't care. Indiana.
Milwaukee's going to be better.
Milwaukee's going to be better.
So is Philadelphia. Who's the team that's going to suck?
Philadelphia can't be any worse. That's the problem.
Who's the team that's going to suck next year? It's a perfect year. This year was a horrible year to tank.
Because everybody tanked.
Yeah. Next year it's a great year to tank because everyone has talent.
Yeah, but they're changing the rules for the lottery.
Oh, yeah. It's evenly spread, right?
I don't remember. It was the NBA lottery system is so confusing. I like the NFL. You have the worst record, you get the first pick.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
It's if you're terrible, you should get the first pick.
But somehow Cleveland has gotten the first pick in 3 of the last 4 years.
Remember when Orlando did that? Orlando had a bunch of times they won it. One time they had the worst odds.
Oh, that's when they had Shaq and Hardaway and then
was that the year they drafted Chris Webber?
They didn't draft.
Yeah, they traded him on draft day, didn't they?
No, I thought.
I believe they did.
I thought Sacramento. Oh no, you're right. It was Orlando. It was the year after Shaq. You're right.
Yeah. So I believe they got. I think they had the worst odds. They were the best ranked.
Imagine if they had Shaq and Chris Webber on the same team.
Yeah, see, Orlando Magic, Chris Webber, #1 pick, and they traded him to Golden State.
For who?
Penny Hardaway.
Oh, and something else.
Something else.
Yeah, I wouldn't have traded him.
Penny Hardaway was good for a couple seasons.
I know, and I know they wanted the 2-guard and Shaq thing going, but
Chris Webber was good.
If you had Chris Webber and Shaq, just man.
That draft, Chris Webber was #1. Sean Bradley was 2.
He was good for a couple years.
He was good for blocking shots. Then Penny Hardaway, Jamal Mashburn, Isaiah Ryder,
sucked.
Calbert Chaney,
Who?
Bobby Hurley, Vin Baker,
was good.
Rodney Rogers, Lindsey Hunter,
Was decent.
Allen Houston,
Was good.
George Lynch,
Yeah.
Terry DeHare.
Let's stop there. I don't recognize it. Sam Cassell is down there.
Yeah, Sam Cassell.
Allen Houston. You know what Allen Houston's best known for? Signing ridiculous. He started the trend of bad contracts for New York.
He was a bad contract.
After him, it was everything followed. Marbury, what's his name from Houston. It just continued on, just bad contract. And Allen Houston ended up not playing when he was getting paid $20 million a year to not play.
I'm just looking at the rest of that draft. The second round had Nick Van Exel and George Mirasan. What up? Another big bust. That guy was 92 feet tall and stunk at basketball.
He was in a movie, though.
Was he?
Yeah.
What movie?
Look it up. I forgot.
George Mirasan.
It was like a drama.
Was it an American movie?
No, yeah, it was. It actually got like good reviews.
Shut up.
No.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, he was My Giant with Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Mirasan plays a ventriloquist in a rap artist Eminem's breakout video My Name Is. He's appeared in commercials for Snickers and sports television network ESPN. He's co-authored 2 young adult fitness and health books, The Boys Fitness Guide and The Girls Fitness Guide.
That's a little creepy.
That's a little creepy. Together with his wife Lillian and sons George and Victor, Mirasan has been a resident of Franklin Lakes, New Jersey, and both currently reside in suburban Washington. Yes, in Washington. He appeared at number 22 on the Romanian television list of 100 greatest Romanians of all time.
I assume like Nadia Comaneci is number 1.
Yeah, Nadia Comaneci is number 1, and George Hagi were on the list. He was a footballer. I'm guessing that's soccer.
Yeah, no one cares about soccer. I mean, people care, but I don't. Anyways, so we'll see. We're gonna get together and watch the exhibition game. I'm not gonna go to it because too much stuff to do that day. But if you wanna watch it somewhere, we can figure it out.
Yeah, we can do that.
That's 16.
And then one last thing, I guess I want to talk about basketball. You may have some other things, but is the whole report about the rift between Bulls management and Derrick Rose.
I referenced that, the Joe Colley article.
I know, but the official statement is, I am confounded by the irresponsible report in the Chicago Sun-Times suggesting there's anything approaching discord or confusion between the Bulls executive office, coaching staff, and Derrick Rose or any other Bulls player.
By the way, this is Reinsdorf.
Yes, this is Reinsdorf saying this. To the contrary, I can remember no time when the organization has been any more focused, optimistic, and cohesive. I've got to assume suggestions otherwise are intended to undermine the goals and objectives, spirit, and reputation of the Chicago Bulls. I am deeply disappointed that the unnamed sources and totally inaccurate statements and assumptions can be used to foment non-existent friction. The report is totally without basis or fact, and it is pure malicious fiction, except for the fact that Reggie Rose exists.
Yeah, the other thing is Joe Colley is the new version of Jay Mariotti.
Is Jay Mariotti still alive?
He was doing like AOL Sports for a while.
AOL still exists?
I don't know.
Wait, they get a has-been to be on their has-been...
Joe Colley is all about starting up stories and being argumentative, and so I used to subscribe to sometimes when I would take the train to work, and you'd have Joe Colley write one article and Rick Tellender write another article. Rick Tellender, whether I liked what he said or not.
More often, like you probably didn't like it because he's kind of annoying.
But he's at least he's not biased. Like he just stuff he talks about just was like, who cares? He did write a really good book though. Heaven is a Playground. It's one of the top sports books.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I used to have it. I let someone borrow it. I never got it back. But it's a book about street basketball in New York in the 70s. It's really good. Like future NBA players are involved in it. It's like I'd highly recommend, if you like sports books, to read Heaven is a Playground. But that being said, Joe Colley, just all he does is bash Chicago sports teams, bash Chicago sports in general. He's so negative. He never writes a positive article. Very, very much like Jay Mariotti. So it's not surprising he came out with this. And whether his sources are valid or not, and I think he came on later afterwards saying that, like basically saying that they were valid, and Reinsdorf is an idiot to some extent.
I mean, from my perspective, I have zero inside sources with the Bulls.
From my perspective, I don't care.
I don't care either, as long as they win.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's any friction with Thibodeau and the players.
There's always friction in. There was friction between Pat Riley and LeBron James. There's friction between,
Would you look at? Yes,
Krause and Jordan. Like,
I am that Chicago fan that still lives in 1985. There was huge friction between.
Oh, Jim McMahon.
Well, Buddy Ryan and Mike Ditka. They wanted to punch each other in the face, and the defensive players and the offensive players. And you know what?
That's why the defensive players lifted Buddy Ryan up when they won their Super Bowl. It's kind of
the last time that's ever been done. But
it was a shot to say that this guy was more meaningful than Ditka.
Yeah. So the thing is that. Of course, there was friction, and when Derrick Rose was hurt, and there was the first injury, and there was such miscommunication between what the Rose camp was doing and what the Bulls thought he was doing, and of course that led to friction. And you have Reggie Rose spouting off about this and that, and saying that they're not doing enough to help him, and that's contributing to him taking longer to be ready to play. Of course, there was friction, but. I mean, to the extent of, is there irreparable damage done? No, of course not.
Well, here's the thing. Like, when all is said and done, it seems like Derrick Rose did the right thing by coming out and saying, whether there was tension in the past, there isn't now, and everything is great now. He admittedly helped recruit Paul Gasol. So all the people are like, oh, he doesn't recruit. I mean, and he admittedly went and was there to show where he's at for Carmelo Anthony. And that's recruiting. He didn't go to dinner with them, and I know the Bulls brass didn't like that. But that being said, he doesn't have to. Like,
the aggravating thing was he said that's not what he's getting paid to do. I'm like, well, they're paying you to play basketball, and you're not doing that either.
Well, I mean, here's why I think writers tend to go off on a story without fully taking consideration all the details. Like, if he makes that statement, but yet he's still calling up Paul Gasol and talking Paul Gasol, isn't that the same thing?
All I want from Derek, as far as the recruiting, is him to show up and go, my knee is healthy. That's all I want from him, is to show them his knee is healthy, because he's sort of a wild card in what he's going to say. He's a little bit of the wild card. If I have to pick one player on the Bulls to do my recruiting, it's Joakim Noah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Joakim Noah is the guy.
Flew out to L.A. to convince Gasol to come? Come on.
Joakim Noah is like a type A personality. People just love him.
Joakim Noah, barring injuries, will be a Bull his entire career.
Hopefully.
I think they will overpay for him when he's a free agent in a couple years. I think that's how much he means to the organization.
Yeah, he's just an example of what Chicago sports is and what Chicago sports fans want in a player.
You gotta love what he says, especially after like LeBron goes to Cleveland.
Chicago loves athletes that are full of personality, and they're grinders more than natural abilities per se.
Did you hear that quote that he gave when like someone asked him, so what are your thoughts about LeBron going home to Cleveland?
I don't know if I heard it.
Well, you can't really say it on, I don't know if you can say it on this or not, but like he's basically like, oh yeah, it's good that he's going home. You know, it's good that he feels the need to like blah blah blah, and he's like, I still want to kick his behind every time I play him. I mean, it's so good, like to have someone just come out and say that.
Can you imagine though if the Bulls would have got LeBron James? Those two would have been feuding in practices. It would have been like Jordan and anybody else that he played against, that not named Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy Noah's a Bull. He's the captain. Once Kirk is gone, he's going to be the captain.
I mean, he still has shortcomings in his game, and he did get exposed a little bit.
Doesn't matter.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just saying he's not a top 5 or 10 NBA player.
He's top 5 center.
Yes.
I think that's all that matters.
Well, I mean, he's probably a top 2 center.
Yeah. No, I mean, but there's an
and the thing is
where the guards are
the top 1 player at center is. I mean, would you rather have Dwight Howard or Joakim Noah. And
A lot of teams are run Noah.
I would go with Noah just because you never know what you're going to get with Dwight Howard, and he just
but a
doesn't.
bad Dwight Howard's still so good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dwight Howard's much more talented as a basketball player and much more physically gifted.
But if you're building a team around other people, Noah's the guy.
Yeah, and the thing about Dwight Howard is you just never know what effort level he's going to put in, or if even he cares anymore. The guy seems to just not. He doesn't love the game like Joakim Noah.
Here's the sad thing. Noah's, what, 29, 30?
Yeah.
It's only a couple more years.
I know. Well, I thought it would have been getting close to being done when he had all those foot injuries, because you get a big man with foot injuries.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the sad thing about sports, right? Is that once you really, really start enjoying the player, it's like, he's probably going to be the tail end of his career soon.
Yeah, I mean, your shelf life isn't very long in sports.
Unless you're Tim Duncan. Just consistently good until you're 37.
That guy's a freak of nature. I mean, the thing is he's a guy that is so underrated as far as his talent wise. He's one of the best players ever.
He might be one of the best power forward.
And
like, who's better power forward than
yeah,
him?
I mean, you could put him with any of the big names, and he is that good, but he's so unassuming.
Oh man.
Uh oh.
Sorry.
Gary's watching something. Gary's looking at something online. I don't know what it is.
Oh man.
What?
Sorry. Baseball. We'll get to that.
Gary loves baseball.
Oh no, it's my fantasy baseball team, which is already sucks. It just got a lot worse.
I can't do fantasy sports. I had avoided fantasy sports for years, and last year I got sucked into fantasy football.
You should come with like a bunch of the Paul guys. I've been doing it since we graduated.
I just don't care after a certain point. I did my draft, and in the first 3 quarters of the season, I was killing everybody, and then just the wheels fell off, and that's what happens every time. I have a good team, and then the wheels fall off.
I mean, that's football is more likely for that. Baseball, it's all about a season grind, and so like when you have a bad team like mine, and the best player, Paul Goldschmidt, goes down with a season-ending injury, you tend to say, "Oh man, really? Can it get any worse?" Anyways, I changed the subject. I'm sorry.
All right, so
you want to talk about baseball?
Let's talk about baseball.
Depressing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was depressing beginning to depressing.
So let's talk about White Sox.
All right, before we
want to talk about Cubs?
No.
What do you want to talk?
The trade deadline, dude.
All right, go ahead.
Oh man, Tigers are so good.
Yeah, the Tigers are good, and I have a friend who is a Tigers fan, and she posted on Facebook. She's like, "All right, that's great that we got Price, but who's going to play center field?" And I said, and my response was, "Well,
Raja Davis, I picked him up in fantasy."
My comment was, "Well, if everyone starts pitching to their abilities, you don't even need a center fielder."
Oh man, I mean, to think that Justin Verlander is the 4th best pitcher on that staff is just depressing.
Yeah, but he's first at picking up women.
Oh man, I don't care about that. And
he does.
David Price is first at wearing Batman masks when he drives. You saw that video?
I did.
Yeah, and what they gave up for him. I mean, Austin Jackson's good. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you trade good players to get a great player, and you just. I don't know what Tampa was thinking of. I heard Pittsburgh offered a better deal, but they didn't want to get prospects. They wanted major league ready people.
I don't know. And Oakland is really good, but they're totally gonna pull a Marlins, and they're gonna do awesome, and then when it's time to pay everybody, they're just gonna blow that whole team up.
By the way, how anti-Billy Beane is what Oakland has done in the last 3 weeks?
It's true. I mean, that guy, like even
all the sabermetrics people, and I have friends that just like live and die by it, and I think it's right for the most part, but I also think you need to spend money.
Oh, you absolutely need to spend money, because the thing about sabermetrics is
what has it gotten Oakland?
Nothing. They're even their farm
One
system.
playoff series win.
But the problem is that they've got all these good players that they end up can't keeping when they come their first big contract, and that's the issue. Is sabermetrics isn't good enough to keep replenishing. Whereas, all right, NFL, if you're good at drafting in the NFL, there's a good likelihood that you can have a high percentage of guys that you never have to go to a second contract because you can turn them over. Baseball, even if you have a really good scouts and you're utilizing these sabermetrics and you have a good farm system, is you can't replenish these guys that quickly. You need to pay guys like a full like a next contract.
Yeah, and
you have to do it. I mean, you can't do it for everybody.
So maybe they'll do that for their pitching. I don't know, but like they basically trade away their farm system, and they're quite arguably they're one of their top hitters in in the bigs for rental players. It's very non Billy Beane-esque. He's usually trading those guys to other teams, right? Like the Mark Mulder, Barry Zito, and Tim Hudson's. And now he's going after them, and it for a team that doesn't spend money, it's a bad move.
I wonder if Billy Beane is getting ready to retire. That's a thought.
And maybe he's just trying to win because he's never won.
He wants to win, and he's gonna. That's a thought. I never considered it until just now, but that's a realistic thought. Is maybe he wants to win.
So what you're saying is he's finally giving up on the whole sabermetrics idea, and he's like, well, we have to spend to win.
Well, I mean, the thing is you need to spend, but it's about how you build your farm system.
Yeah, I get it. It's
his farm system has.
It's about dollar value for what your product is, and
you need that, especially with the rising prices of free agency. I mean, when you're paying a dog turd pitcher $10 million a year.
Yeah, but the difference is, my argument always is like when you get to the top tier, like the John Lesters or. I don't know if Jeff Samardzija is in the top tier, but he's close to it. He's
pitching close to it.
He's like maybe a step below. But when you get to that level, there's very few pitchers at that level.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have to pay them.
And you have to pay them, and you have to give up a lot for them.
But the issue is that you can only have so, especially when you're a small market team like Oakland, and you can only pay so many players. So you need to be very smart about who you pay and who you put in there for these fill-in players.
Yeah, but you have to get those guys. You have to get those.
You have to. But they're not paying anybody.
Did you hear about like a minute before the trade deadline? Dave Dombrowski calls Billy Beane, and he's like, "You have a minute to go after Chris Sale." Because like Chris Sale was the only great pitcher left as far as moving. Even though if the White Sox ever trade Chris Sale, I would be, unless if they got to get a team's top 10 prospects like.
Oh, you just don't. He's too good of a contract. And he's too good of a pitcher.
Even if he gets injured for a year, like I can live with that because of that contract. And I mean, him and what's his name in Dodgers?
Clayton
Kershaw. I mean, they are the best pitchers in baseball. It's not even comparable.
Yeah.
And if you look at consistency, if Sale has a bad game, he gives up 5 runs and strikes out 10. That's a bad game for him. And I mean, he got hit on Friday, but before that he had under a 2 ERA. So I don't even know what his whip is.
0.9. His whip is 0.9.
So I mean, anyways, I was digressing from the other topic, but yeah, I'll be pretty upset if the White Sox have potentially the best pitcher and best hitter in baseball, and if they trade either one of them, I will be unhappy.
Oh yeah, I mean that's your foundation right there. Is when you have a rock solid hitter and a rock solid pitcher, you build on that.
We do have, I guess we can transition into the White Sox. Because I went to the game on Saturday and I did watch the game today. We do have Ronnie Belisario.
So we're recording this on Sunday, August 3rd, and the White Sox took a pounding today.
Yeah,
and the thing is,
every one of their bullpen guys.
I didn't watch the game, I didn't watch the game.
I stopped
but,
after they put Belisario.
But going into the 8th, they were down by 1.
Yeah.
And they lost 16-3.
Yeah, and it started with they brought in this guy Thompson, who minimal major league experience, and obviously he showed it, and he got demoted to the game. And then so it was a 3-2 game. The Sox were still up, and they bring in Ronnie Belisario, was running first and third with nobody out, and the next thing you know, I'm saying
Belisario got nobody out and gave up
4
runs and got no outs.
Yes, yeah.
That is not adding to his ERA.
So I went to the game on Saturday, in which the White Sox were up 6-4, and Belisario conveniently loaded the bases, gave up a run, so it's 6-5 with I think it was runners on second and third, and 1 out. He got 1 out. So Jake Petricka comes in, who's had a pretty good season. He's the only bullpen guy that is pitching well for the White Sox. Gets the first guy to get out. The next guy hits a line drive to Alejandro Diaz, pops out of his glove. Both runs scored. And they do not give Diaz an error, which I'm kind of happy about, because I want to add to Belisario's ERA, because that's how bad he is. I just want to make it's over 6, by the way.
Yeah, it is. There's only one positive to that game. I
don't know. I was at Abreu's hitting streak ending game.
No, you got your Frank Thomas Hall of Fame plaque.
I did get my Frank Thomas Hall of Fame plaque. I got there extra early, and I got it. It's pretty cool. And funny, Frank Thomas wasn't even there for his Hall of Fame flag.
Was there? What was he? He was on his way, but he had an all-you-can-eat buffet.
I don't know.
Somebody stopped to ask him about steroids, and he went on a 4-day rant.
Yeah, and missed it. But so I would find it hard to believe there's another pitcher that has pitched in 45 games this year that has over a 6 ERA.
The good news is that they've got 3 winnable games coming up at home against the Rangers.
They were doing so well to this weekend, man. They took it to Detroit. They took it to Minnesota. They had a great road trip. And Adam Eaton, man, he's on a tear. You know, him and Abreu are both batting over 300 now. Are you looking it up?
I got it right here. So Gillespie's over 300, Eaton's over 300,
Yeah.
Abreu's over 300.
But we got nothing, and Ramirez, they got nothing else. And
so, with baseball trade deadline, were you happy or sad they didn't make any moves?
Sad.
I don't know why you just didn't dump some dead weight.
Viciedo or Daza or John Danks. Like, I would have loved it. I mean, I guess they wanted the all-lefty rotation next year, right?
I felt like they had to make a move. I felt like they had a lot of dead weight.
No, they don't have to make a move. But they'll actually benefit by waiting to the winter, because they'll get more value, I think, in the winter time.
People weren't making those crazy I have to have that player deals this year.
Yeah, but in the wintertime, I think in the winter meetings, especially John Danks, I could see him being traded, because he has 2 years left of his contract, and he would have pitched a full season after surgery. So I'm surprised Dunn wasn't moved. That's the one. I mean, Dunn's having a decent season this year. You know, his home runs are a little down, but the on base percentage is really nice. I think they wanted to trade Beckham, but he was just playing too bad. They couldn't get anything.
Hold on. How bad could he be playing? Because somebody got Darwin Barney.
Well, I mean, for a bag of balls.
You could have got that.
I don't think they wanted to get. I mean, I guess Barney's a good defender too, but I mean, Beckham has potential. Who knows? I don't know. Like, they have some glaring holes, but the good thing is they're gonna have a lot of money next year to spend. So They need to completely redo that bullpen. It's horrible. They need to bring up Micah Johnson. Say goodbye to Beckham. they probably need to get one good outfielder from free agency.
What are they gonna do with catching next year?
I have no clue. It is what it is. Like most 90% of teams have no catching. I don't feel so bad. Tyler Flowers can't throw a runner out stealing for the life of him. And he's supposed to have a great arm. Like I don't.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Did you see the news that Jim Thome retired today?
Yeah, it was yesterday, right?
Was it yesterday? He signed a one-day contract with Cleveland and retired.
While he's working for the White Sox. Just wanted to. I don't know how that's done.
I still remember.
Basically, had 2 jobs.
I still remember a sign I saw. It said, "Tome's my homie."
Dude, I was at the game where Thome hit his 500th. It was pretty awesome.
It said, "Thome, Hall of Famer."
If he isn't, there shouldn't be a Hall of Fame.
There's a lot of...
Let's have a Hall of Fame and not have one of the best hitters of an era in it.
He never got the recognition though. That's the thing is, he was always surrounded by like big time talent. Like even when he was like he was
big time talent.
like he'd get Lofton when Lofton was great.
He had Manny too.
Yeah,
David Justice was good back then.
He's always been overshadowed wherever he is.
I don't know.
It's because he can club it. That guy can hit it a country mile.
Dude,
using his vernacular.
The other game that I was at, where he had a home run was the blackout game against Minnesota to see who made the playoffs in 2008, and the White Sox won 1-0 on a monster home run by Thome. I mean, it was straightaway center, about 440 feet. It was awesome. So, I mean, before going back to the White Sox and how they're doing, before yesterday and today, things were looking very positive. They were a couple games below 500. They're continuing with, the path that I said they would, about a 500 team. These 2 losses kind of suck, but the good thing is it's all on the bullpen.
Most of their losses have been on the bullpen.
Yeah, I mean, when your closer at the beginning of season, or for the most part of the season, Ronnie Belisario, has 8 saves and 7 blown saves. Yeah, you're looking at the stats now. Petricka's done well. Putnam has done well. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, their bullpen has been terrible.
Yeah,
it's nothing else you can do about it.
So surely not gonna compete with Detroit.
Well, Putnam's coming off the disabled list.
No, Lindstrom is. Putnam just went on a disabled list, I thought. Yeah, no, they DFA'd Scott Downs. I don't understand why they won't DFA Ronnie Belisario.
Yeah, he must have naked pictures of somebody's wife.
I don't get it. Like, they were so easily DFAing Scott Downs. I mean, he was horrible.
I mean, I'm going to sum it up for Chicago sports fans of how bad Belisario's been. He's been worse than Edwin Jackson.
Okay.
You're like, I can't argue with that.
No, I'm not arguing with it. I just want to see this. So, like, the save and save opportunity, that doesn't count when he's coming in the 7th or 8th and actually blown saves there. He's blown more than 4 saves. He has 58 hits against him in 52 innings pitched. No strikeouts.
The only time he seems to be pitching halfway decent is when they have a huge lead or they're way down and they put him in just to like kill some innings. And he pitches okay. Anytime there's any sort of close game, he just comes in and just like.
Oh my God, he's horrible.
I sometimes feel like they should do a fan contest and let.
Oh, he got booed, by the way. Hardcore, both Saturday and Sunday.
But let the fan go out there and pitch whatever you were going to put Belisario in and see who does better.
Saturday was a joke because they're up 6-4, and they just score 4 runs in the bottom of the 7th, so they're up 6-4. Top of the 8th, they bring in Belisario, and my buddy and I are just like, it's over. They're going to lose this game. And we had obnoxious Twins fans, right? And Twins fans in general aren't obnoxious, but there's these girls sitting right behind us. Every time a Twin person did something, they'd scream, yay, whatever. Just obnoxious. Clapping is one thing, but screaming in a really high-pitched voice gets irritating after 5 innings of it. So before the inning started, we were like, well, the White Sox are going to blow this game. And they're like, well, you don't know that. I'm like, well, I do know it. Right? Belisario's coming in. And it was like, bam, bam, bam. Like, I went to the restroom, I came back, they're already losing. Like, it wasn't even, it literally took like 2 minutes before he just got shelled. And they ended up losing 8-6.
You telling the story just reminded me of one time a couple of my buddies and I went to a Cubs game. They were playing the Astros, and it was like clearly going to thunderstorm at some point. So everyone started to leave because the sky went black, and they were trying to speed up the game to get it finished before it started raining. So every time
finish it to the fifth.
Either one, and every time you'd hear thunder or see lightning, like whole group of fans would leave, and we would move closer down to the
nice.
Until finally we were like 3 rows from the dugout, and there was this guy in front of us that was there all by himself. He was an Astros fan. He was decked out in that gaudy like early 80s rainbow jersey,
like my jersey now,
and he was yelling and hooting and hollering, and the guy was so annoying, and I was behind him, and finally I didn't realize what his sign said because he was holding up a sign until finally he turned around to show it to the people behind us. It said, "Go Astors." He had spelled Astros wrong on his sign that he'd been holding up the whole game.
Come on, there's probably something wrong with him.
He was an Astros fan.
I mean, I'm going to the Sox game in Seattle on Friday, which I'm excited about.
I love going to out-of-town games, except in Philadelphia.
I went to a few in Philadelphia. They were fine.
Yeah, that's
baseball. Football probably different, but baseball was fine. But I'm excited. I'm going, but I'm not gonna be one of those fans. I'm gonna wear a Sox shirt and a Sox hat, but I'm not gonna be one of those fans who are like, woo!
Oh yeah,
just screaming all the time, being obnoxious, like. And sorry to say, your fans are like the king of that, but.
Clearly you've never met a Cardinals fan.
Yeah, but you guys are so much more fans.
I've gone to a lot of games away to see my Cubs, and I always deck out my stuff. And
there's always like 20,000 of you guys.
But when, like,
so it's like a home game.
Yeah, a lot of places it is. But there's a lot of Chicago sports fans like that. You ever gone to a road Blackhawks game?
I went to a road Bears game. A quick story before one of my cousins has season tickets to the Dolphins, so he took me to a Bears Dolphins game. By the way, I'm returning it. I'm gonna take him one this year because the Dolphins play the Bears. We sit in his season ticket seats, and mind you, his whole section is like season ticket seats. Everyone's decked out in Bears jerseys, and he's like, "What is going on?" And like all these are season ticket seats. What do you mean they sold all these to Bears fans? And like you look around, you see Bears fans everywhere. And then Ozzie Guillen is at the game, and he's about 5-6 rows in front of me. And the entire game, there's people lined up going down to take pictures with Ozzie Guillen. And to his credit, he did it. He did it with me. I have a picture with him.
And he was swearing the whole time.
No, he's with his family.
He didn't swear to his family?
I don't know. I mean, no, but I mean, like, that's how many Chicago fans were there. Like, the whole time there's this line of people waiting.
It's so like with the Blackhawks, the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, I've heard Nashville.
Nashville, it's so many Blackhawks fans that the Nashville Predators organization passed this or did this thing where you can't buy single game tickets for the Blackhawks. You have to buy it like in a 3-game block to go to any Blackhawks game down there because it was so ridiculous that almost everybody was, because they have so many people from Chicago there, and then it's such a nice, easy drive.
We should go to a Bucks game for the Bulls.
We should.
That seems like
Milwaukee's a fun town. It's so close. I mean, especially I'm right by O'Hare, so I can make it to Milwaukee in like 45 minutes. I can make it. Sometimes if there's traffic, I can make it to Milwaukee faster than I can make it downtown Chicago. Yeah, and I live in Chicago.
I've been meaning to do that because there's a lot of Bulls fans that go up to Milwaukee because no one goes to Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's easier to get tickets and it's easier to park.
I'm grandfathered in with my season tickets with the Bulls. I'm kind of happy about that. They don't offer 11-game packages anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the guy that owns my comic book store, his wife has bleacher season tickets for the Cubs. They don't. Those are grandfathered as well. They don't. You can't buy those anymore.
Yeah, they'll suck though. Come on. You want to be around a bunch of fans that are hoping that the team gets good in 3 years.
No, but I can't imagine how many people get heat stroke out in the outfield because they get so drunk, and the sun, no matter what time, is beats down on you, and you're so drunk you have no idea. Or my favorite thing is, women don't go to the White Sox games, so you probably don't realize this, but in April games in Chicago are cold. You have, no matter how
women go, they're 18, 19, not 23, 24.
So the thing is,
if you call them 18, 19 year old women.
So the thing is you can attest to this. You've gone to April baseball games in the city.
Awesome.
It's cold, and you have, no matter how warm you think it is when you leave your house. That's an
understatement. I've actually left games because it was just too cold to sit there.
I bring a blanket. It doesn't matter what temperature it is when you leave your house. I bring a blanket. I wear long pants. I wear jackets because it's gonna get cold. It's
not just the cold; it's the wind.
Yeah, and so it's inevitable that every April, if I go to a Cubs game, you will see women there in tank tops and skirts and flip flops, and I go, first inning, I'm like, they're fine now. By the third inning, they're shivering and turning blue.
They're gone. They leave. They go to bars.
Yeah, it is so ridiculous. It's April baseball is probably awesome in Miami. It's probably awesome in Texas. In Chicago, it's terrible. I won't go. I don't go anymore I don't care if it's opening game. I love opening day, and a couple years ago, I went just down to Wrigleyville, and I just won't go anymore because it's too cold. I'll wait. I
like Game 3 of the opening series. It's a day game and no one's ever there.
Yeah, I like to wait. I like to wait till mid-May to start going.
It's weird because the last few years, opening day has been pretty warm, but then the next week it drops and then
it starts snowing.
Man. This year it's been a pretty cold summer, I think. But I mean, right now it's comfortable, but it should be 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was hot. It was muggy today.
It was muggy today, but yesterday it was beautiful.
It wasn't even that warm. It was I looked at it and it was 82 degrees outside, and I was I'm sweating like a pig. Because it was so humid.
I was so angry my baseball game was canceled yesterday. And because the other team couldn't field the full team. It was such a beautiful day. I would have loved to have played baseball.
So let's transition over to the Cubs.
Oh,
and I want to start off by saying Greg Maddux in his Hall of Fame speech made a fart joke. He was
before we do that, Frank Thomas's Hall of Fame speech was awesome.
Did you hear the joke that
no.
A bunch of people, or a bunch of other Hall of Famers? Yeah, I kind of like those uniforms. Gary's showing me his baseball team's uniforms, and I kind of like them. They're very early '80s.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But Frank Thomas's speech, if you didn't hear it, was really good. He was really humble in it and thanked everybody.
Every single person. If you're going to thank one person, you might as well thank them all.
He didn't just thank I thank everybody that was involved. He thanked everyone by name. And I guess a bunch of the committee members from the Veterans Committee.
Pissed.
No, they mailed him a phone book and said, "Did you miss anybody?"
Dude, he went through every lineup that he was part of in his career. It was great. He just started naming people.
It was similar in some ways, but polar opposite of Michael Jordan's Hall of Fame speech.
Oh, when he bashed everyone.
Because Michael Jordan named everybody and talked about how he was better than them, and
or he bashed them.
Yeah, he bashed
them.
And how he was so much better. But Frank Thomas was so humble and named everybody. It was kind of an amazing speech. And Greg Maddux, he said, "My brother Mike led by example. He even taught me about science. It had to do with methane and a lighter." He made a joke about lighting farts on fire.
The one thing I didn't like about his speech was he flat out said he left the Cubs for because of the situation with money and winning World Series.
Yeah.
And we know that's the truth, right?
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, to me, it's like a blatant disrespect to the Cubs. I know he didn't put his hat is blank, and I think there's something wrong with his plaque, right? There's like something with
I don't know.
stitches. I forgot on his hat, but his hat doesn't have a team on it, so maybe he's trying to make amends for it. But like, man, you don't talk like that about a team that gave you so much, gave you your start, signed you.
Well, I mean,
first
he
contract.
was thankful for that. He said he's like, I learned how to pitch in baseball, in Chicago,
And he learned he'll never win in Chicago.
And everyone welcomed him back with open arms when he came back to the Cubs, even though it was at the end of his career.
I just think that that's not a good thing to say to, especially to a group of fans who would do anything for a World Series, to say, I love Chicago, but I wanted to win, so I left Chicago. That's basically what he said.
I heard a great story about him. Is his old pitching coach from Atlanta was talking. They were, I forgot. I think they said Montreal, maybe. They were on a road game. And, he said the pitching coach never went out with players, like in the nightlife. But he said Greg Maddux was like, do you want to go with me to my favorite restaurant? And he's like, okay. And he was figuring they would go out, have a nice dinner, and then go back and go to sleep. No, it's Greg Maddux took him to like a hot dog stand. And they picked up hot dogs and went back to his hotel room and talked baseball strategy for 4 hours. And I was like, that is totally Greg Maddux.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And all I could think of is, man, I wish I could listen to this. I wish they would have recorded this so I could listen to it.
Yeah. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's a pretty knowledgeable baseball player to be able to do what he did and have a career like he did without having a fastball faster than 92 miles an hour.
Was it even that fast?
Not in the end of his career, but I mean, he's one of the greatest of our time. I didn't like the fact that he blatantly put down the Cubs organization, even if he did it unintentionally, and said, and I say this as like your friend and you're a Cubs fan, right? Like he shouldn't have put it that way, I guess.
I didn't take it as that. I know he's like a really appreciative guy and he loves the fans, and he's I think he's just a little awkward of a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think he meant anything, but I think he's just a little bit like.
Yeah, but you have plenty of time to write these speeches. Like, don't say I left the Cubs because I wanted to win.
Yeah, but the thing is how many guys go up there and then just they don't sound eloquent because emotions take over no matter what you write.
Like Joe Torre doesn't acknowledge Drew Steinbrenner.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
But speaking of Maddux, is Rick Sutcliffe compared Hendricks to Greg Maddux this week, which is kind of one of the most ridiculous things I've ever. Yeah, Kyle Hendricks from the Cubs. Which is kind of one of the most ridiculous things ever, because
I don't really like Rick Sutcliffe as an announcer.
I wish the Cubs had Mark Grace.
Oh man,
I love Mark Grace.
You'd hear like the beer popping open, and then there'd be like dead silence here.
But as Cubs fans, we're used to that.
And then you're like, and from the cigarette. He used to drink in the dugout, didn't he?
I'm sure he did. He was probably drunk when he bashed Sammy Sosa's boombox with a baseball bat.
Oh man!
I love Mark Grace. I don't care.
Doesn't he commentate for
Arizona? He got fired when he went to jail for drunk driving.
DUI. That's right.
It was like 8th drunk driving attempt. I love Mark Grace. I don't care. I hate on drunk driving, but yeah, I can't hate on Mark Grace. He was awesome. But Kyle Hendricks is pitching really well for the Cubs. I mean, he had
4 starts.
They just brought him up. I mean, he's pitching well.
Yeah.
And so, but after 4 starts, comparing him to Greg Maddux, even if it's just like some offhanded thing, I mean, he
doesn't strike out a lot, so maybe that's why that he's comparing him.
So I mean, but he is filling in the Cubs rotation at a time that they really need people to fill in the rotation. Because,
they don't. They should be tanking.
well, they sort of are.
Not really. They're. I mean, Boston's going to be tanking.
Boston's going to be tanking. And I said this to you, not on the show, is that after all these trades, I was like, oh yeah, the Cubs are definitely going to finish ahead of Boston in the standings.
Yeah.
And it was like 3 days ago, and they've already gained ground. But the Cubs rotation, other than, I mean, Hendricks is pitching nice, and Arrieta is pitching nice.
Cubs pitching is better than the White Sox.
But Edwin Jackson is terrible, and he pitched a decent game today.
Yeah, I was wrong about that signing. I thought that was a good signing.
I did too, but he's been terrible.
So like both of the Adam Dunn signing too, I thought was good, and that was
is Edwin Jackson pitched 6 innings and only gave up 2 runs today.
his ERA went down.
His ERA went down. He's down to a 5.66. You could talk about Belisari all you want, but you know.
No, I see Belisari a lot more. I see Edwin Jackson 23 games played, Belisari 46. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, but look he's got 100. He's got 125 innings pitched, and he's.
I'd rather have Belisari do all his damage against him at one time than have to see it day after day after day. You see Jackson once every 5 days. I literally saw him blow 2 games consecutive days. Like you can't compare the two.
Yeah, but
So, I mean, big thing with the Cubs, their upper management have talked the talk after the trades. Now they have to walk the walk.
Yeah, now it's time to. I mean, they were talking with Theo Epstein, and he was saying, he's like, you know, this has to be the last year that we're sellers at the trade deadline.
Yeah, they're talking about if Jed Hoyer. I saw an interview with him talking about how they're going to be aggressive in all season. I'm like, well, you guys should be like going after Max Scherzer or like some big name pitcher or player that's a free agent. And if you aren't, then you're very hypocritical. Like, now is the time. If you want to win with these rookies in the near future, now is the time where you start going out and getting veterans.
I mean, because your rotation is terrible. You've got Hendricks, it's only 4 games in, so you have no idea how he's going to do, but he's playing well. Arrieta is just he's found you know, lightning in a bottle and captured it, but Travis Wood is pitching terribly.
That sucks. I like Travis Wood.
I do too. And I'm just hoping this year is an anomaly, but he's got over 5 ERA. Carlos Villanueva is terrible, and anytime you put him in, you're just like, oh geez. Edwin Jackson's been terrible.
They need it. I mean, it's not just pitching though. Their outfield. So many question marks in the outfield.
Well,
Junior Lake, your guy, like.
That's what I asked during the midseason, but then I was just like, you know what? Yeah,
but the reality is you can't win in 2 to 3 years if you don't see things starting to progress now.
Yeah, but Junior Lake, I've decided is not part of the future.
Then you have no outfielders.
Well, you've got Alcantara he's going to be an outfielder.
But he's a year or 2 away.
He's in there now, and he's all right. I mean, he's still young.
He's in Double A, right?
No, he's been in the majors.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking Almora for some reason.
Oh no. So
really, I thought Alcantara was second base.
Yeah, but they're gonna put Baez there, so he's gonna be. They were playing him at just like
his average dipped back down.
Oh yeah, being he's.
I know he's a rookie. I get it.
He's young.
But so I guess even with him being young, like, is Rizzo and Castro, are they gonna be your veterans? I mean, they'll have to be, unless
they're going to have to be. I mean,
unless you get someone else.
I mean, Baez is going to be there. Who's going to be your third baseman is my question mark.
There's no good third baseman out there unless you bring up Chris Bryant.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to bring up.
No,
Chris
they don't.
Bryant.
They were smart. They wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to bring Chris Bryant up.
So June of next year.
Yeah, so they're going to be. So they're looking at Baez at second, Rizzo at first, Castro at third. Alcantara at center, and then they're going to have to cobble together outfielders. I mean, does Coughlin, is he going to be the guy? I mean, he's 29 years old, but he's playing really well this year.
No, he's not.
He's been almost 300.
I get it, but so did how many, like, what's his name? The guy last year that did well, that made the All-Star team.
Oh God, my old age is.
Nate Scherzel?
No, it who was it last year? But I mean, they're gonna cobble somebody together. That's.
But the thing is, like, you have to start looking 2-3 years down the road. If they're legitimately going to compete 2-3 years in a row, they're not going to just poof compete. You have to start seeing pieces. Like, I'll go back to the White Sox, even though I'm not saying they're going to compete 2-3 years from now, but you see pieces where me as a fan, I hope they're competing because these pieces will be in their prime, you know, with Chris Sale and Quintana and Eaton and Abreu and Avi Garcia. So you see that in 2-3 years, these guys are going to be like the guys. So you have to start building around them now. You can't have Diane Viciato and Alejandro De Aza and Gordon Beckham, you know, sitting there. You have to get rid of those guys, and you have to go after people now so it'll take a couple years to adjust, and then 2-3 years they'll be winning.
Oh yeah, but I mean the Cubs have to start getting aggressive, and you
can't be like the Red Sox, right? The Red Sox purposely tank and then build a team and win, and purposely tank the next year.
I think Baez is going to come up next month. I think he's going to be a September call up.
Yeah, but there's no foregone conclusion that he's going to be productive within his first few years. That's my argument all along. Is like, yes, it's great to have these prospects, but how many of them are Mike Trout?
But the thing is nobody's a guaranteed. I mean, look at Anaheim. They brought over Albert Pujols, was the most consistent player in Major League Baseball history, and you know he was every year.
He's doing well now.
Well, he's doing well now, but he brought him over there in the first, 2 years. 2 years.
I agree.
He wasn't what they thought he was going to be, for a $252 million contract.
Look at Anaheim now. I have no clue how they're 20 games above 500. They don't have any. It doesn't. Besides Mike Trout, no one else is glaringly like at superstar level at this point. I mean, Pujols is a superstar. But...
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like nobody's a guarantee. So sure, Baez could come up and really struggle playing in.
No, I'm not saying he will struggle. I'm saying look at Anthony Rizzo. He's been a couple years now, and he's finally starting to. He was bad last year.
Yeah,
he had a good on base percentage, but overall.
But that's the thing is, it's nobody's saying they're going to compete next year. But they're going to start bringing everybody up, and it's going to. Then what you hope is you've got levels of people, so you bring up this wave, and then the next wave kind of moves up in the levels,
sure.
And that's what you're.
I guess what I'm trying to say is you're talking about a 3 to 5 year plan to contend for a World Series. So you guys have already had 3 consecutive seasons of 90 losses. You're going to. I don't think you'll lose 90 this year, but you're going to lose 80 something.
We'll lose 90.
Really? You still think? Okay, so you're going to have 4 consecutive seasons of losing 90. Then you have to buy into these 3 to 5 year after the 4 consecutive seasons of losing. I mean, that's what really sucks. And that's why I don't buy into it. It's like they have to have an aggressive offseason this year to show their fans, A, that it's justifiable that they charge what they do for ticket prices, and B, that they are moving towards the direction of we want to compete in a few years from now. Like, you can't just hope that these young guys will hit it and start running, as soon as they get to the bigs. Because the reality is, most of them won't. The Jose Abreu or the Yasiel Puigs are anomalies. Mike Trout is definitely an anomaly. Like, the normal is, if you look at all the greatest hitters, the first 2 years in the bigs, they did not do anything special.
No, but you don't need everybody to be
you don't, but
all-star.
you need a complete team, though, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you just need everyone playing. You need a team of people that play as a team. And
I agree, but you need people. I mean, with that being said, they need to be good enough at that time to win as a team, And that's, you can have good individual players or good individual games, but good as a whole team. Like the 05 White Sox didn't have anyone that tore to cover off the ball, but they played great as a team. They were all veterans. And I mean, you look at the Red Sox last year. I mean, all veterans. There was no young guy in there, that team that won last year.
But looking at the NL Central is Milwaukee started off really hot, but I think they're the worst record for being the division leader.
Yeah, but Milwaukee's good.
And they are. So,
St. Louis will always be good. It doesn't matter. St. Louis never is bad.
But there's
annoying.
But there's no team that's just glaringly amazing. It's a bunch of Milwaukee's pretty good. St. Louis is pretty good. Pittsburgh is pretty good.
So that being said,
so you're competing against pretty good. That makes it much easier to win. It's not like,
Does it?
I mean,
you have to be pretty good too, though.
I know that's the thing. You have to be pretty good, but it makes it easier if you're competing. If you're not competing against, a
2
division.
years ago, remember when the White Sox won like 88 games 2 years ago?
Yeah.
That division was horrible.
Yeah.
Detroit was the only pretty good team in that division, and that's enabled the White Sox to win 88 games. Like, if there's you just named 3 pretty good teams, the Cubs have to get to the point where they can compete with them, and I think they're several years away from that. And to me, it's just too much time. Like you were told a 3 to 5 year plan originally. It's year 4.
Yeah, it's slower than I expected, but I didn't expect to be very fast because they did a complete overhaul.
Yeah, but look at the Red Sox. Do you think the Red Sox are going to compete in the next year or 2?
Yes.
Okay, they just did a massive overhaul.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna. But they also have the difference is the Cubs started off with a bunch of bad contracts and no minor league system. The Red Sox had a bunch of bad contracts, old players, and they've always had they have a good minor league system. So it's not like they had to start from scratch. The Cubs had to start from scratch and get rid of all these bad contracts, these old players, all this dead weight, and then build the minor league system. And they've done a phenomenal job of building a minor league system.
But are they going to be the Kansas City minor league system, or are they going to be the Red Sox minor league system?
I'm going to say closer to the Red Sox.
Kansas City's had, we talked about this a while back. In my opinion, it wasn't until Kansas City started spending money that this is the second year in a row that they're looking good.
The Cubs will start spending money.
Yeah, until they do, to me it sucks. They should have already started spending money, in my opinion.
It was going to be empty spending though.
Not really. You signed Samardzija?
I just don't, for the money, I don't think he's the answer.
So many Cub fans would have disagreed with you.
That's fine.
But I don't think he's the answer either, but I think it's a sign showing that the Cubs brass care about improving. And that's why I brought up Max Scherzer. He's probably going to be one of the bigger free agent pitchers.
I mean, if you were going to sign
John Lester, Max Scherzer, they should be going after one of those guys.
Yeah, but the thing with Samardzija is I felt like they should have signed him to a reasonable extension.
I get it. Samardzija wants more money.
But when he started wanting, ridiculous money, then no. If you pay him like a 2, then fine. But if you want to pay him like a number 1...
No, he's not a number 1.
No, he's not. Not on a... He's a number 1 on a bad team. He's not number 1 on a
I have
World
friends
Series
that would
team.
argue saying that he's comparable to Chris Sale.
No, he's not. He's having a great year this year. And his numbers still aren't Chris Sale.
I think that the Cubs have to go after a top pitcher.
They absolutely have to.
Now is the time to do it too.
Oh yeah, I mean
Lester or Scherzer, you have 2 guys. Like Yankees can't sign them, but they can.
The Yankees can do whatever they want.
But you have to think the Cubs should do that, and it will be a sign that the Cubs are trying to improve the next few years. And You know, that's always been my biggest beef is like they have these ridiculous ticket prices, and you guys are gonna lose 90 games 4 years in a row.
Yeah, so it's.
Oh, he's actually gone up. I thought he was better than what he's doing.
Yeah, so I mean, he's got.
His whip isn't that great. It's okay.
And so Jeff Samardzija is got a 2.92 ERA with a 1.11 WHIP, and
the walk to strikeout ratio is really good.
Yeah, so I mean, he's not an elite pitcher. He's not an elite pitcher. So why would you pay him like an elite pitcher? They could have signed him to a more friendly contract earlier, but they didn't, and it still wasn't that friendly. You know what the numbers they were talking about, but you know, it's they have to sign somebody. I think what they're thinking is they want to sign somebody that's just getting in their prime, not at the end of their career, where they're in the tail end of their prime. That's the issue that they have, is they're willing to spend the money, but that's why they offered Tanaka so much money, is because they figured he's just going into his prime, so he's still going to be in the heart of his prime when they get all this talent.
They're looking great for not signing him now, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as they do stuff in the off season, that's, I guess, going back to I keep reiterating this. As long as they show in the off season that they're trying to improve the team now, that they're not trying to improve the team 2-3 years from now, that they're now, like as of now, they say they're done trading away assets. They have a good farm system now. They have 3 of the top 6 players, best prospects. Now is the time to go out and start improving. And until they do that, I mean, hopefully they do it, because with all the talk that they have with their prospects, they should be a playoff contending team in the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're expecting. So, a couple more things I wanted to talk about with the Cubs is, as expected, they traded Bonifacio and they packaged him with Russell, sent him to Atlanta for an interesting trade. They got Victor Caratini, who's converted to catcher, and what I've been reading about him is he's really solid behind the plate.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the best arm, but they said his arm is as good, if not better, than most major league.
There's so many
catchers.
bad catchers. It's you can't see it as a bad trade.
Yeah, and so anytime Atlanta's had, a good series of catchers through their minor league system. So
I mean, they gave up a lot. Bonifacio is a good utility guy, and
absolutely.
What's his name? The Russell was pretty good relief pitcher.
So that makes me feel like they went after a guy to be their future catcher. So that means Kyle Schwarber is going to the outfield, or he's getting traded. So that's that move. The other one is there's another Cuban.
Yeah, a lot of. I wouldn't be surprised. He's an outfielder, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes to the White Sox.
Yeah,
they have had such a good, they've had the team. It's funny because on Saturday, I'm sitting there with my friend watching the game, and 4 of the 9 guys playing are from Cuba.
He said that he doesn't care. So I believe somebody asked him about going to the White Sox, where Cuban players have done well, and they have a bunch of Cuban players.
Yeah, they have a good history.
Which you would think coming over that would be making the transition easier because you have fellow countrymen. But he said he's going to go whoever they offer them the most money.
White Sox still may offer the most money. That Jose Abreu contract, people were dissing the White Sox for doing. Boy, that looks like a steal now, because imagine if Jose Abreu signed a 1-year deal and hit free agency this year, how much that guy would be getting.
Yeah. So.
By the way, how awesome is Jose Abreu? I just want to.
Jose Abreu is just crushing the ball.
And it's not that he's crushing. It's not like he's pulling. It's not like Puig, who pulls everything. He's hitting the ball all parts of the field. You can't, like, you pitch him outside, he hits it to right field. It's amazing. He's got 30 walks this year, which isn't a lot, and that's something I think he needs to improve on. But he's probably gotten 15 of this 30 in the last 2 weeks. I mean, no one wants to pitch to him. He, he's the real deal. It's fun to watch him play. Imagine if he didn't go on a DL.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with Chicago first baseman this year.
Yeah, Rizzo's been pretty good too.
Rizzo's had a really good year. Abreu's had an amazing year, and Chicago first basemen is a great year to be a Chicago first baseman.
I mean, we've always had good first basemen through the years, so it's nice that
and
it continues.
But these guys, having similar number seasons, but we're used to when the heydays having Frank Thomas at first, who is a Hall of Famer, and then you have a really, really good first baseman in Chicago, and Mark Grace, who's completely different than Frank Thomas.
Yeah, you had Derek Lee in the 2000s, and he was really good.
Yeah.
And then we had Paul Konerko, so it's like we're spoiled with first basemen, as far as that. But I mean, Jose Abreu is going to end up with above a 6 WAR. It's ridiculous. It's just, I mean, I'm amazed. I haven't seen someone hit like that since Frank Thomas on the White Sox.
And the only thing he really has to work out is cutting down on the strikeouts.
Yeah, and he has.
Yeah.
So he struck out a lot the first half season. His strikeout ratio has cut down dramatically.
Yeah, it's scary. I don't know how. I mean, watching him hit, he doesn't have any holes.
He
for you to
looks so
exploit.
comfortable when he passes.
So I don't know how, if you're an opposing pitcher and you're watching game film to kind of prepare, I don't know how you pitch to him. Everybody seems to have it's really similar to that one year that Bonds hit 73 home runs where there was nowhere to pitch him.
Well, I don't know if that's similar.
No, I'm not saying as far as home runs, but what I'm saying is that year there was nowhere you could pitch that Barry Bonds couldn't hit that year.
Well, this is how good. I think they had a stat at the end of May. He was batting .253, and he's batting over 300 now. That just shows how hot he's.
Over his last 30 days, or is it last 30 games? Last 30 games, he's batting .379 with a 1+ OPS. 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 11 doubles.
He's had 30 walks all year.
And, he's got 11 walks.
So he's had 30 walks all year, and 11 have been in the last 30 games.
Yeah, he's just playing ridiculously.
So is Eaton, as you can see. But as far the White Sox going back to what you were saying, the White Sox overspent for him. He was an unknown. Now it's looking like an amazing deal. Like, we got this guy for another 5 years, and he puts up these kind of stats. It's amazing. But why wouldn't the White Sox? I mean, other teams were interested in Abreu, particularly the Red Sox were interested in Abreu. They didn't want to spend the money, so they decided to stick with Napoli. And I think I read an article that the White Sox GM said the Red Sox GM said that was clearly a mistake. Not that sticking with Napoli, but not spending the money on Abreu.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never know. With foreign players, you never know.
Yeah, but that guy put up. So the thing that was positive about that was the Cuban league is considered equivalent to AA, and that guy put up video game numbers in the Cuban league. I mean, he batted over 400 one year.
I mean, it's getting less and less of a crapshoot getting foreign players than it used to be. I mean, you look at Tanaka, who had video game numbers in Japan,
and he was good.
He was really good until he got his elbow fell off.
By the way, the other thing that I love about Abreu is he's the opposite of Yasiel Puig in every way possible. When Avisail Garcia got injured, he supported him. He wore like number 26 wristbands. He's a very humble person. He's very family oriented. He always talks to his parents all the time, and they live in Cuba.
Puiga's people trying to kill him.
Yeah, he did something on Saturday that I don't think I've seen a Major League Baseball player do. He grounded out, and as he's running back from first, the bat boy comes up, and the bat boy is about to pick up his bat, and he stops him, and he picks up the bat and gives it to the bat boy. Like, I've never seen that done by a Major League Baseball player, and to see that, like, it just makes me think he's a good person too, and that just adds so much as far as like liking him. You know, you liked Frank Thomas, but you knew he was an ass. But you know, I'm excited about the type of player he is, and you know, if he can help bring over another Cuban guy that can hit the ball that isn't Dion Viciedo, I'm all for it. So, but yeah, no, we'll see what happens.
What the White Sox need is an amazing player with the skills and abilities of Glenn Allen Hill.
I was just talking about that too. The rooftop homer. Remember that he hit in the rooftop across the street?
Glenn Allen Hill, he could clobber a home run.
But
he hit it like a golf ball.
We got into that. Oh, that's how Viciedo swings. If you ever watched him, he's like all or nothing. He's horrible. But we were talking about Glenn Allen Hill because we were talking about Seattle back in the 90s, and he played for Seattle back in the 90s.
Oh, Glenn Allen Hill. He's still like one of those legendary players for the Cubs. Just for like these.
That 1 year he was like a pinch hitter and he hit 20 homers or something.
Yeah,
right?
he wasn't. You didn't know him for like being this amazing player. You knew him for these highlight clips that randomly showed up.
He could hit home runs.
Speaking of highlight clips, did you see the Sam Fold throw home where he threw the guy out, and he threw the ball so hard with so much of his body that he flipped over and went like, feet overhead. It was ridiculous. I saw it right before you came over, and I was like, holy crap! How do you even have that much, strength in your arm to make your legs flip over your head?
I heard about it. Sam Fold's interesting. He's one of those scrappy players.
Yeah.
But anyways, any more baseball news besides our depressing teams?
No, they both suck.
And but at least I have Chris Sale every fifth day and Jose Abreu to watch. He's our new Sammy Sosa.
Except nobody wants to smash his radio with a baseball bat.
By the way, I will say Adam Eaton has the best coming up to bat songs. I think I said that before. I'll say it again. His first inning one is always "This Is How We Do It" Montel Jordan, and then his next one is "Teach Me How to Dougie."
You can put it on the board. Yes.
Does Hawk even still announce games anymore?
I don't know.
I know Tom Pachorik's been selling, and Tom Pachorik, I actually like Pachorik and Steve Stone a lot. Like, they're really good together. So Hawk needs to retire. He's up there in age and looniness. It's not fun listening.
And at least when Harry Carey lost his mind, he was fun, and everyone and he would just say ridiculous things like John Jaha. That's aha just spelled backwards.
Well, when something bad happened to the Cubs, it would be Ron Santo and Harry Carey would be like not, you wouldn't even know what they're saying. They're just like kind of making noise. Hawk would be like, doggone it, you gotta be bleeping kidding me. It's like, come on, dude. It's totally...
Ron Santo was just a fan that they put a microphone in front of, because I wish I still had this audio clip. I had an audio clip where somebody isolated just Ron Santo saying things, and it was basically, this is what you heard. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You were like,
plus Harry Carey was so drunk at the end of games.
I got to go one time, a guy I knew in college, he got me a job, and the company we got tickets for the WGN Skybox. So we went to a game against the Astros. It's always against the Astros. And we went to the WGN Skybox, and we're sitting in there. They came in, and they were like, do you guys want to go in the booth while Harry's broadcasting? As a Cubs fan, I'm like, yeah. So I walk in there, and Harry's got the microphone in front of him. He was doing the radio broad because he used to switch from radio to TV.
Innings, yeah.
He was on the radio portion, so there was no camera on him. And I walk in, and he's got a beer open in front of him. He's got the microphone there, and he's got one girl on one leg and one girl on the other, and his arms wrapped around him. And he's broadcasting like, he's all there. I was like, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. And
the best part is up until the day he died, he was listed in the phone book.
Nice.
I've actually called his house and talked to his wife, Dutchie.
Oh, man.
I called the house just because I was curious. I'm like, there's got to be another Harry Carey. I call, and his wife answers the phone. I was like, is Harry there? Yeah, sure. He gets on the phone. Who is this? Like, Sean from DePaul. And he's like, we just talked baseball for about a half an hour. He's like, all right, Sean from DePaul, I got to go. He talked to me for like a half an hour.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I was like, this guy just answers the phone. I talked to Dutchie.
Yeah, you can't do that anymore.
No.
But,
Hawk Harrelson would try to shoot you.
Yeah, I remember. Hawk Harrison was good in the 90s. He's kind of sized now. I don't know. I kind of think he's getting up there. He's close. He's got to be close to 90.
He's old.
So I don't know how many more years he's left. Hopefully they keep Steve Stone because everyone likes Steve Stone.
When is Steve Stone's contract up?
You want to bring him back to the Cubs?
No, he can't. You can't.
After what happened with Dusty Baker.
Yeah. But
I think Steve Stone's awesome.
oh, he's great. I love him. But
I don't know. The White Sox had to get rid of both their radio guys. They're just awful too.
yeah, they are bad.
I hate listening.
We talk about them, and I don't even want to be the guy that's like a negative Nancy, but they're just bad.
Oh.
I can't even. There's no saving grace. There's no. Well, they do this well, but they're just bad. We've talked about them several times. They're just like
I
listening
miss
to
John
him.
Rooney every day. I don't know where he is.
I would rather listen to Jay Mariotti than the White Sox radio announcers.
Anyways, that's just a whole another depressing thing that when I'm driving and I listen to games, I have to listen to those guys talk. But yeah, Tom Pachorik's been filling in lately, and he's great. I've always liked Wimpy.
What happened to Wimpy? What does he do?
Nothing. Like him and Hawk were, with each other for like 15 years or something.
It's a long time.
And that was when they were together. It was great. When he left and Darren Jackson came, I think that's when Hawk started. Because I think he gained too much control, and as gaining too much control, he kind of just went gung ho crazy. I know Pachorik was doing some stuff for Detroit for a while, but he's been actually doing commentary for quite a few Sox games this year. So hopefully he's, I don't mind. I'm thinking he might be the replacement for Hawk. So we hope.
Gotta have somebody there.
God, how depressing is it when your team's so bad and you talk about the announcers and they're bad too? And actually, the White Sox aren't even that bad. They're like hovering around 500.
No, it just Detroit's starting to run away.
Yeah, oh God, their pitching staff. Oh my God, like you can't compete with that. The White Sox have two good pitchers, and only one of them is better than the 4 pitchers on Detroit. So, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's baseball. You just wait for salary.
Wait for Tommy John injuries.
Tommy John injuries, and when the fact that you can't pay everybody.
Oh, they can though. Detroit does it. They spend tons of money. They got like 5. They're like the new Yankees. They got like 5 guys with $20 million contracts.
Oh, those hot and ready pizzas are paying for it. $5 hot and readies. You know how many $5 hot and readies you got to pay Max Scherzer? I
mean, you look at what they're paying. Verlander's over 20. Cabrera's over 20. Martinez is around 20. Kinsler's like 16 or something like that. I mean, they're just throwing money out. their closer's getting paid like 12. Yeah, they're new Yankees. Yankees are being more frugal. Are you looking at team salaries?
Yeah, I'm looking up the.
Well, obviously the Dodgers are number one.
Oh yeah, the Dodgers spend stupid amounts of money. Dodgers are over $235 million. Yankees.
Okay, I was wrong about Yankees being more frugal.
Tigers are 162 and change.
How are the Red Sox so much?
Ortiz is making a lot of money. They got a lot of
How are the Phillies that high? They suck.
Because
Cliff Lee and
Chase Utley makes a ton of money, and Ryan Howard makes stupid money, and he makes so much money that they couldn't move him.
So this list is so depressing because you look at some of these other teams, like the Nationals are at 134, the Blue Jays are 132, the Diamondbacks 112, the Cincinnati Reds are 107. The Braves are there, the Brewers are at 103, and then the White Sox are at 91, and the Cubs are at 89.
Astros are at 44. 44.
Well, it's so bad with Chicago baseball that Oakland is comparable in salary cap. In Minnesota. Oakland and Minnesota.
The Dodgers team salary is almost $200 million more than the Astros.
Yeah, well, Astros have Altuve. But our teams don't spend at all.
Here we go. Boston Red Sox.
He's gone.
He's gone, but Napoli is 16. Lackey's gone now, but he was 16. Ortiz is 15.5. Lester was 13.
Wow, they really dumb.
Victorino is making $13 million. Pedroia almost 13. AJ Przinsky was making 8.
Who was? I was talking to another buddy of mine when he came to the Cardinals and he had that 4-hit day against the Cubs. It was last week. It was horrible.
How bad is CC Sabathia's $24 million contract a year looking now?
Thankfully, he's not on the White Sox. Jacoby Ellsbury, that's a horrible.
That was a bad deal. Where the Detroit Tigers.
John Danks is the highest White Sox.
Yeah, Cabrera is at 22. Verlander's at 20. Ian Kinsler's at 16. Anibal Sanchez 16. Max Scherzer 15. Torrey Hunter 14.
Hunter even play?
He's still on the books. Victor Martinez is 12. Joe Nathan is at 9. Rick Porcello is 8.5. Austin Jackson, well, he's gone now, but 6.
So, by the way, that means that the number 5 starter for Detroit is getting paid $8.5 million.
It's a lot of money.
How much? Go back to Tampa Bay, see how much David Price is getting paid.
Tampa's up here. David Price is 14.
So they have Verlander at 20, Sanchez at 15, Scherzer at 15, Price at 14, and Porcello at 8.5. That's their starting pitching.
Their starting rotation is more salary than the whole Astros team.
It's almost as much salary as our teams. I'm gonna do the math. It's seriously.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. So.
It is almost as much.
Wait a second.
That
is.
That's basically. Let's go.
Wait, Verlander, Sanchez, and Price. Those 3 are already making significantly more than the whole Astros.
Wait. So Price was 14, right?
Price was 14.
So 34 plus 16 is 60, plus 15 for Scherzer is 75 plus 8.5, but then 5, so plus 9. So $84 million.
Which is, the Cubs were at 89.
89, and the White Sox are 91.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a reason why the Tigers are going to the playoffs. That is depressing. The Tigers pitching staff gets paid more than.
Yeah, here we go. Here's why the Phillies is Ryan Howard is making $25 million.
That's Does he
You
even play?
Yes, well, not very well. Cliff Lee is making $25 million. Cole Hamels is making $23.5. Chase Utley's making 15. AJ Burnett is making 15. Papelbon's making 13. Jimmy Rollins is making 11. Carlos Ruiz is 8.5.
Ruiz is a good signing. So is Bird.
Marlon Bird is 8.
Who's Mike Adams?
He's making 7.
Wow, there's some horrible contracts there.
Yeah, that's their GM.
Oh, look at that, Freddie! Everyday Freddy's in there.
Uh,
That Jason Worth contract.
that was a bad deal. Yeah, here we go. Cubs, Edwin. If you take away Edwin Jackson, your top salary on the Cubs is Starlin Castro's $5.8 million.
Hey, this is a major market team we're talking about.
I know. So, Shearholtz is at $5 million. He's gonna be gone. Villanueva's at $5 million. He doesn't even play.
Yeah.
Fujikawa.
That was a bad signing.
Travis Wood at 3.9.
Jose Barris doesn't play.
No. Darwin Barney's gone at 2.3. Ruggiano's at 2. Russell's gone, but he was at 1.17. Valbuena's 1.7.
Rizzo looks nice.
Rizzo's 1.5.
Wait, what's Chris Sale at?
Uh,
We've totally digressed, but let's look up Sale. Probably easier.
Chris Sale is 3.5.
Oh my God, what a steal that is!
That is a steal. Well, I mean, that's a steal. Anthony Rizzo's 1.5 is a steal.
Oh, what's Evan Longoria? That's the.
He's 8.
Oh, so he's up there already. Heath Bell. Oh.
Yeah, so the Cubs don't pay anybody. Mike Old, 500,000. Hector Rondon. Did I ever tell you my wife's Cubs story? We went to a Cubs game, and she had 2 blonde pregnant lady moments at the game. The first one was they had the outfield sign, and it had the player's last name and then their number next to it. And she looked at it, and Pedro Strop they brought him in to pitch, and she looked and she's like, what's his number, 42? She's like, is 42 Stropes good? I was like, what are you talking about? She thought it was a stat.
Nice.
The other one was we were leaving the game, and I forgot who pitched. Maybe Hamill? And whoever it was had a good game, but they lost like 2-1. And we were leaving. She's like, that pitcher pitched a really good game and got the loss. And that's crappy. They should have a stat where they base you on how many runs you give up per inning, and base that you're pitching on that rather than wins and losses. I'm like, you mean like ERA? And she's like,
No, you should said earned run average.
and she's like, shut up, I'm pregnant.
Nice. Oh, here's a funny stat. Go back to the White Sox.
Wait, hold on. Jake Arrieta, the way he's pitching, he's 544,000. That's a steal.
Yeah, go. Here's a awesome stat. Go back to Chris Sale. So Sale's getting 3.5.
Uh-huh.
Look who's right below him
Belisario.
at 3.
Yep.
Oh my. Oh, this is horrible. Jeff Keppinger.
Gordon Beckham is making over 4.
Well, he's been around for a while, so. Yeah, but look at what the White Sox are going to be clearing. Dunn's contract. They're probably going to be clearing DeAza, Beckham. I mean, Keppinger. They're going to be at like 40 mil next year.
I mean, the Cubs, other than Edwin Jackson, Jason Hamill's gone. Samardzija is gone. Shearholtz will be gone.
So basically, what we're telling people is
the Cubs and the White Sox will have even lower salaries and more money to spend.
And we'll see if they do.
Yeah, both teams.
Like, I honestly don't think, even if they fill rosters, if they don't get like high-profile players, they'll both be under 80.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's horrible.
But
if you're tomorrow, Jose Abreu T-shirt giveaway, White Sox. At least we got that. You want to go to? It's actually worth buying a $10 ticket to the game
to get a free T-shirt.
To get a free Jose Abreu T-shirt. I'm just saying, like, if I didn't have family, I'd be doing that.
I'll have your matching Abreu T-shirts.
I mean, it is a pretty good Monday night gimmick to try to get.
It is. I mean, they got to get somebody in the seat somehow.
Oh, and they have August 20th. They have dentist night. Dentists get like discount.
Your brother's gonna take advantage.
Well,
of that?
I mean, it's kind of like really. Can you have like union worker discount or a McDonald worker discount, dentist discount? Come on.
They have investment banker discount night.
Like the one person doesn't need a discount. So I don't get that. Oh, they have craft beer night on the 16th, which is pretty cool.
Can't complain about craft beers.
It's also gay and lesbian night too.
Gay and lesbians like drinking beer too, I think.
No, I know. Just combining them sounds like a great occasion, a big party.
It's also gay and lesbian dance party night as well, because combined with the drinking.
Dude, so I Brooks Broyers. He's a great PR person. I just wish more fans would realize that. I don't know if you guys do any PR, old style 2 for 1 or something.
No, there's no PR. It's just people show up.
Cross extremes and troughs.
There's nothing worse than peeing in a trough.
I did that. I went to what's it called, D'Agostino's right by Edison and Southport today. Because my buddy is bartender there, and I peed in a trough. I'm like, this sucks.
It makes you think like you're at like a 4-H show in like 1985.
Like the privacy factor is just so bad. And besides that, everything comes up. It comes back up. Yours comes back on you. The guy next to you comes back on you.
I know. I do like an arcing loop. I'm like standing 12 feet away, like aiming with a big arc.
It's horrible. Like,
and then there's always some dude standing there with his pants around his ankles because he doesn't know how to operate a zipper correctly.
Underwear too, right?
His underwear and pants are all down by his ankles, and he's lifting his shirt up to his nipples.
Here's the worst thing.
And he's shaking.
Oh, here's the worst thing, and they don't have this at the South, or they do have this in the South, and it helps out so much. When I'm relieving myself, you can't just look down. No one looks down at themselves as they relieve themselves. That's a little awkward, right? So the socks at the South, they have these like signs that you can stare at and read while you go. There's nothing like that at Wrigley. So what happens, and I admit I've done this in the past, and it sucks.
Are you Peter Checker?
You look around and you can't help it. It just no disrespect. I'm not trying to say I do it purposely or I want to do it. It's just you can't help it. Like you look over, like, oh man, I just looked. There's something I can't take that back.
No, I will count divots in the wall in front of me. I will do anything. I will close my eyes and hope I hit the toilet.
But occasionally you look around, you're like, oh, damn, I looked. You can't not look. That's the good thing about taking my son. When I took my son to the Cubs game once, they let you go in that like family bathroom.
Yeah, family bathrooms are nice because like, what do you do if you have a child of the opposite sex as you?
That's how they're. Well, interesting topic. I've seen this more and more in family bathrooms. They have these, or in extra bathrooms, newer bathrooms. They have these little like chairs that you can strap the kid in, so you can go do your business. That's great. Like
they have a cage in the corner where you.
No, it's like a car seat chair. Like you sit them and you sit them down and you go. It's amazing technology.
I know, like as a male who had a mother that took him around most of the time, is when my mom would have to take me in the women's bathroom, like I didn't know about like sex and stuff, but I was like, wow, I'm checking out women.
Yeah.
And then if you're a dad and you're bringing your daughter with, and you got to bring her to the men's bathroom, dudes are creepers.
It doesn't matter. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Come on, man. Dude, that's most of the time.
So you gotta hope for those
like
family.
You just go in the big stall and close it and put the kid on the floor. That's what
You carry them in, covering their eyes, arm wrapped around their waist, and the other one wrapped around their eyes. But close your eyes.
Well, right now I don't have to worry about that.
Well, you have a son, so it's not a big deal. You have no reason to go into a women's bathroom. You go to the men's bathroom.
Yeah, but my wife takes him to the women's bathroom at times. Whatever. He's a kid. He's a toddler. when he's at the age where he's potty trained himself, and he doesn't need assistance, he'll just go by himself and just wait outside the door. But I just love that little like strap seat that you can, if you need to go, you just put the kid there and you just do your business. Kid doesn't run around. I was thinking about that like a few weeks ago. Like, what happens if someone has to do that? And like, they have a toddler like I have that just wants to run around. So, anyways, speaking of, my wife is calling right now, and that should mean
so
I gotta go.
Guess that's wrapping up having Gary on the show. So thanks for being on the show, Gary.
Thank you.
Thanks to Gary for being on the show. I guess the last thing we'll talk about before we end this episode is the Chicago Bears. Not too much to report. Training camp is winding down a little bit. We've got the first preseason game coming up on Friday, and this past weekend I went to the Chicago Bears Meyer Family Fest. It's basically like an open practice that they have at Soldier Field. You get to go sit in the seats. They have a bunch of interactive things. It was fun. It was like $8 a person. You can't really beat the price unless you drive down to Bourbonnais. I'm spending more than gas going there. But the only bad thing is you're in your seat, and I bought tickets late, so I was back a little bit of ways. So I had a limited view of where I could see which position battles, and I wanted to see the defensive line and the linebackers a lot. And I really only got a chance to see the quarterbacks and the safeties. That was really what I had a lot of sight line of. So I guess I'll start quarterback. Is Jay Cutler looked great. He really did. And I know there's a lot of haters out there, and I've been a little bit critical of him, not as much as a lot of people, but he did look really good. He looked really sharp in his throws. His mechanics looked really good. Much more compact throwing motion, it seemed like. Getting the ball out quick, footwork looked good. He looked really comfortable. Then my wife, it was kind of funny. My wife's not the biggest, football guru or anything. She's a fan, but she was watching the quarterbacks with me because she's like, "Who are you watching?" I was like, "Quarterbacks." So she was watching, and she's like, "That number 8 is terrible. Like, that's Jimmy Clausen. That's the guy I think that's gonna get cut." And I can't see what. There's a lot of good talk coming out of camp about him, but I just don't really see it. He's got like a loopy throwing motion that's big, so it's not really a quick release. His footwork is really sloppy. He's not fast, and I didn't see anything impressive during the not just the drills, but I didn't see anything when they had the situational 7 or 11 on 11. I didn't see anything good from him from there either. So I don't know where, what's happening during Bourbonnais practices that's not translating to the practice I went. But, at least in the drills, I was much more impressed with Jordan Palmer and David Fales. But then going into the, against the live defense, I wasn't impressed with any of them. But I am going to tell you is that Marquise Wilson, if it wasn't for Brandon Marshall just looking phenomenal, Marquise Wilson would have stole the show. He looked so good. He made some acrobatic catches and some amazing catches. He just looked really good. He made the cornerbacks that aren't going to make the team look stupid. He even beat Charles Tillman badly. Tillman had some good coverage, and he just put a move on him, beat him for a deep ball. He just looked really good. And if he plays anywhere to this level during the regular season, the Bears wide receiving core is going to be stupid good. So, as the backup quarterbacks, I wasn't that impressed. At least with David Fales, he looks confident back there for a late round draft pick rookie. He's got a nice quick motion, but he had some rough play when it was against live defense. Same thing with Palmer and Clausen. So I guess we'll see come against Eagles and some of the other preseason games who looks like what. But I don't. I'm not as confident as I was with this backup quarterback crop. And then I want to talk a little bit about the safeties. Excuse me. So Adrian Wilson looked really good. They had him lining up as they rotated not just the pairings, but they rotated, who was the strong and who was the free safety. And it was like almost like a ballet how they were weaving them in and out. But the two starters in every situational drill they did was Adrian Wilson starting at strong safety and Danny McCray as free safety. So I don't know if that's a hint of something to come or if that was just for this exercise, but Adrian Wilson looked really good. Ryan Mundy looked pretty good as well. And Brock Vereen, you could see where he's really athletic and he's got a lot of skills that you're looking for in a safety, but he was so late on a lot of plays where you're watching the play unfold and you're looking at it from the offensive line and the backfield there, and when you scan back across and you're looking at where the safety is, you're expecting them to be in one position based on where the play was and how the quarterback's looking, and he's nowhere to be found and then breaks way too late on the plays. So it was a little discouraging because I'd heard so many good things about Brock Vereen, but he's definitely suffering from rookie-itis. So he's a lot like John Bostic was last year. I mean, I know they're different positions from the linebacker to the safety, but John Bostic had all this ability, and people raved about him, but when it came time to play in actual games, he looked a little bewildered out there and was just having to use his great athletic ability to make up the plays and for what he was missing with experience. And I think Brock Vereen is suffering from that a little bit. So we'll see. Hopefully he can learn from the veteran presence of Adrian Wilson, but he's got a long way to go, and I've been pretty high on him. A little bit of also what I saw. I didn't, where I was seated, I missed a lot of some of the, pretty much any of the defensive line stuff, so I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm planning, hopefully, next Sunday to go to Bourbonnais, but we'll see. But running backs is Kadeem Carey looked really good. He looked like a natural out there. But Matt Forte looked phenomenal. He looked head and shoulders above everybody else. And Michael Ford looked pretty good as well. So I don't see anybody else really, challenging them for the running back spots. Marquise Wilson looked phenomenal at wide receiver. And I don't see anybody challenging him for the number 3 spot unless he gets injured. So that's about it. I mean, they kept lining up Kyle Fuller, their first-round draft choice, as him and Tillman as the two cornerbacks out, and then they would move him inside. And Fuller was able to stay with everybody, but there were times when they put moves on him and they were able to, gain a little bit of space to make a catch, but he wasn't getting burned at all. So that was nice to see. I think you're just going to have to do some growing pains with him just because of the experience of being a rookie. But he's got the athletic ability where I think he's going to be phenomenal. And, he showed that he could cover an Alshon Jeffrey. He can cover a Brandon Marshall. And that bodes well playing in this league because they're the top 2 wide receiver tandem in the NFL. So I guess I'm going to keep that abbreviated because it was a limited practice and it wasn't the first time at Soldier Field for many of these guys. And, Jared Allen promised everybody he was going to do his rodeo sack dance as many times as possible at Soldier Field. And, we'll wait to see the preseason game. So for the next show, we'll really be hammering the, Bears talk because it'll be after the first preseason game against the Eagles, and we'll have a lot to discuss. So until next time, thanks for checking us out. This is Sean with Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. broadcasting from the Rockford Ice Hog studio in Chicago. And thanks for checking us out. You can check out the website at swerskisports.com. You can go to youtube.com/swerskisports. Listen to the podcast there. You can go to our Twitter account at twitter.com/swerskisports or facebook.com/swerskisports. So thanks for checking us out. Until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her, you can have her, she's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van, and she looks like...
Remember, New Yorkers, smoking crack is not legal on the plains. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears! Oh, when the Bears go bearing down